There are three promised things in life. There's death, there's taxes, and there's Laterman. Wherever you go, wherever you look around, Laterman is there. I felt like maybe we're not going to get any help with this, so I had to roll up my sleeves. I had to look death in its eyes, and I had to say, what is the next step at this?
There's no residual income. There's no 401k with scammery that's going to take care of you when you're older. No, when you're done, the benefits are done.
I just always felt like going online allowed me to, talk to friends or allowed me to do something. That was really a precursor because that was stuff I really just put my time and care into. Being human with people, just connecting with people. When you want to make a place for yourself, whether it's on the internet or whether it's in person, you really just have to do what you do. Because if you don't, you're just going to be this just nothingness,
Hey, welcome to The Create Unknown. We are Kevinless tonight. We have the absence of a Lieber. We don't have Balloon Kevin. We don't have Real Kevin. All I know is he shot me a message. He said, I have to run to Europe real quick. I have to solve a problem. And he insisted that I call him Kevin. That's strange to me, but you have to roll with these things when they come in. But we have an episode to do, so we're going to continue on with that. The process of canonization is an interesting thing. That's the path to sainthood. It requires the confirmed performance of a minimum of 2 miracles. Weeks ago, today's guest performed his first. The origin story actually begins on October 25th, 2020, about 18 months ago. I had a Twitter exchange predicting that episode 137 of this podcast would be called The Rise, Fall, and Blazing Resurgence of Laterment. And Laterment himself replied to that tweet, saying, I think 137 has a nice ring to it. Laterment, the story of how streaming changed the way of sharing content online during the pandemic. The thing is, at that time, Laterment was barely a streamer or creator at all. Several years prior, he'd made a Discord server called the Cult of the Extremely Online to bring brand-adjacent professionals together. He was 13 years old and an uncommonly good networker. But just a few months before our Twitter exchange, he'd started a Twitch channel that was actually inspired by listening to a podcast called The Create Unknown. The day he opened that account, he tweeted at us to say that one day he would be a guest on this show. He had 0 subscribers. Fast forward to episode 131 today. I was 6 episodes off in my prediction. And Laterman has 13,000 loyal Twitch followers who are part of his Minecraft world. That's the rise of Laterman. And his fall is going to be self-imposed. He's just announced that he's going to ditch Twitch altogether to start fresh on YouTube. We'll talk about that and a major unknown media initiative to bring Minecraft to this podcast community. But back to that miracle. Weeks ago, an errant mouse click led to our entire Discord community being held hostage. Babies were banned. I myself was deposed. It was digital carnage. A server of thousands of creatives that we'd spent 3 years building was hacked and controlled by a Turkish teen, and Laterment intervened, doing what he does best, relating to a peer in the same way that has turned him into a respected comfort streamer in his own community. 8 tension-filled hours later, and we had our server back. And all it really took was Laterment agreeing to convert to Islam. It saved our community and about half a Bitcoin in extortion fees. So, assalamu alaikum, Laterment. After 2 years, you have fulfilled your promise of entering the Create Unknown, and we're extremely proud to see a guest start organically in this community. But we'll get to the Discord story, the VTubing, why you're ditching Twitch, the joint Minecraft project. But first, let's get to the last part of that title that I predicted in 2020. What is going to drive Laterment's blazing resurgence?
You know what's going to drive my resurgence?
No, that's why I asked.
Well, I mean, you're asking me, and you're just saying, what's going to drive it? It's the pure power of Laterment, right? There are 3 promised things in life, right?
Okay.
There's death, there's taxes, and there's Laterment. Wherever you go, wherever you look around, doesn't matter if you're going down an alley, it doesn't matter if you're going to a football game or a funeral, Laterment is there. It is kind of the definition. Yeah, no, it is. It's a threat. It's everyone. No,
So,
yeah,
so
100%.
you have this presence. This Laterman is surrounding everybody who's in the live show right now. Can they feel it? Can they see it? How does this work? Can they smell it? I bet you can
It's
smell most Twitch streamers.
probably we don't shower. We don't at all. It's been probably 2.5 months since I've last touched a droplet of water. And it's just terrifying, honestly. Most of the time I'm terrified.
You're in an interesting spot, though. I mean, you have this this kind of strange, like, constant rise, fall, resurgence, whatever. Like, that seems to be what pushes you through the streaming, right?
Yeah, there's many moments where I feel like I'm going up and many moments where I feel like I'm going down. It's a bit of a roller coaster, but honestly, when I feel like I'm going up, you prepare for what's to come, whether it's good or whether it's bad, and then when you feel like you're falling down, you kind of pray for the best, but you expect the worst, because if you expect the worst and it happens, then you can't be too afraid of that. But if you just, if it does happen, it's there. If it doesn't happen, then it's like, holy, I'm good. So, whatever happens, what happens, you can't always control it. You just got to go with the flow of it.
I want to hear how this applies to the bricks and blocks that make up your content. But we really need to start with this Discord thing, and it's hard to even know where to start. I got a message, and this was back in January, so maybe 6 weeks ago. Does that sound right? 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks,
Okay.
yeah, give or take.
Yeah. So I get a message from Ben. Everybody here knows Ben, production, editing, etc. He's been around since the beginning. He actually created the Discord server for us, and he shot me a message, and he's like, I'm going to tell you, I think my Discord's been hacked. I clicked a link, somebody saying, check out the game that I made. And it's perfectly understandable. This is not what he told me. This is my take on it. Like, you think, oh, did you really have to click a spam link? But to have a friend who does game development coincidentally be hacked, so it sends you a thing that says, check out the game I'm working on, it is perfectly understandable that gets a click. So there is a pass on that. However, the hack happened. And as server owner, that meant all of a sudden that hacker owned the Create Unknown server. And something in between panic and pandemonium ensued. It really didn't seem like a lot was happening. Do you remember at the beginning, Laterment, like how it actually played out?
I remember in the personal aspect of everything, I remember going on Twitter. I woke up literally late in that day. I stayed up all night. I was working on a project. And I ended up waking up it was probably like 11 or 12 o'clock. And I ended up seeing a tweet. It was sent out 2 minutes before I woke up. And it just said, it was on the Create Unknown Twitter account. And what it ended up saying is it was adding Discord, just saying that they need help. I don't know if Kevin sent it out or you or Ben, but somebody ended up sending out this tweet. And I ended up sitting there and I just ended up saying to myself, what the hell is going on? It's like I'm nagging at just somebody. It's like, what is going on? Why do we need somebody from Discord, right? So I ended up reaching out to, I think it was you, if I recall correctly. And I just said, what is going on, right? Because obviously I don't know what's happening, but on Twitter, the place that is the most terrifying place to be, because everybody is just freaking out, flipping things, and pretty much trying to cancel you 24/7. I was wondering what was happening to the Create Unknown on Twitter.com and on Discord in this fine day.
That was a day like any other day. I mean, there was absolutely nothing remarkable about the timing of this. It was like, I know it was a Thursday because just because we had some things scheduled on Thursday, and it was like noon, and it was just kind of random message, but nothing crazy was happening. And Gib Tom says in the chat, like, that's when he joined the Discord, like, yeah, you would join in then and not think that anything was wrong, but in the back, behind the scenes, Kevin and I were freaking out. We're like, okay, we don't have a dedicated Discord contact. We don't actually have any Discord contact. Who do we know who might? And so Kevin started to shoot out messages to a lot of former guests, like I think he asked Quackity and Weast, and just like the people who have done a fair bit of streaming, like, hey, do you know anybody who could perhaps intervene with this? But at the same time, nothing was happening. We knew that Control had been wrested to the Turks. We did not know what the implications were. They hadn't said anything. They hadn't done anything. We were just sitting there like, what do we do? And then we got you and Ben kind of huddled on it to figure out what the next step was.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts just sitting there, right? Because I remember just everything was flying by. Like I said, I was messaging you and then I was seeing what was happening in the Discord chat and everybody was freaking out. Like, not even freaking out. Everybody was just going nuts though, because Ben was, out of it. And then everybody else was just starting to disappear. People were starting to go places.
Yeah, they gave themselves the host role. And two things happened. And now that people are talking about it in the episode chat, I'm starting to really remember the sequence. Dan the Latch pointed this out, that all of a sudden there was somebody new in the baby gang. Well, the baby gang is a tight group. There are not a lot of people in the baby gang. We know everybody in there. When somebody changes a username or has to get a new account because something is blocked at work, whatever. We always know that. It's never a surprise. And if somebody joins, we get an email about it. Patreon lets you know somebody has access to this, and it pops on my phone. It pops on Kevin's phone. We always know. And I just happened to see that there's a new username in there. I'm like, oh no, this is bad. It's not like there's anything in there that would get anybody canceled, but at the same time, a private place is a private place. You probably, Laterman, you probably do terrible things in your living room and bedroom.
Oh, 100%. I am a murderer.
Yeah. I
kill people.
You wouldn't want a microphone just automatically dropped into your life like that. Even if you weren't doing anything wrong, it's not comfortable. So we started to get a little nervous then. And I think that's about the point when we talked, you, Ben, and I had a very brief call and kind of realized that it was hopeless. Is that a fair assessment? Is hopeless the right word?
I think hopeless is a great word. Like I said, I didn't even say this, but what was happening was I know you were freaking out. I know Kevin was freaking out. I know Ben had school because Ben is, doing what he does best.
Yes.
And he's not being helpful, obviously. And so it's between you and Kevin freaking out, not knowing what to do because you're both, old as dust. It's terrible. And then there's just me sitting here figuring out, okay, I literally have nothing to do. Like, I'm not an admin of the server. Why would I instill this upon myself to really help, right? Why am I doing this? Is it love? Is it kindness? Is it what is it internally inside of me, the clock that's ticking that just wants me to help these two old men who might just abduct me one day? Like, what is my reasoning? What is my it doesn't make sense. But it was helpless.
Pushed you toward that level of charity. But we truly were desperate. I mean, Discord, not many people have their own Discord servers or have been involved in running one, whatever. But the ones who do know that unless your server is massive, and we have a good one, we do not have a massive one. It's not like there are 100,000 people in it. Unless you're at a certain level, you really have no support. Even YouTube, when you tag YouTube creators or something, at least you'll get a canned response on Twitter. Discord just does not exist on the support side. So we were getting absolutely nothing from there. Responses started to trickle in to the people that Kevin reached out to, just saying like, hey, if there's a fraudulent thing, there's a decent chance that it'll get sorted out over time, but it may not get a lot of progress here in the short term. And we were freaking out because we record the show on Discord, and we had put a fair bit of time into putting this stuff together. It's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is open up Discord, look at the baby gang, look at general, see what's going on. That's what I wake up with. And then, throughout the day, and we talk to everybody, and we do record the show, and it's all of a sudden the dominoes start falling. Oh my God, what do we do if we have to start again? It just was not clear what those options were. And that's what you and Ben were saying, is you're like, hey, this probably isn't going to get resolved in a positive way. Let's clone the server. And that was the next step you took, wasn't it?
Yeah. To backtrack on that at least for a second, you said the first thing you do in the morning is you go on Discord. Taver, is there something going on in your personal life where you just need to go on this website? Is there what is your deal? Most people read the newspaper or they, maybe they talk to some of their friends or they talk to their colleagues or maybe you talk to a loved one. The first thing you do is go on Discord. What is your problem? What is your ailment within that?
The other elements of my life are so empty that Discord is all I have. The people
That is
listening to the show right
terrible.
now are all I have. Monahan says newspaper, question mark. Yeah, you
Maybe.
realize like the daily newspaper comes a day late where I live. Like I could subscribe to it,
Yeah.
but I don't get it in the morning. I would get it the next day. Like, what is the point to that? And I don't want
Yeah.
to read the news. And email stuff is primarily work, and like I don't want to jump into that the moment I wake up. I used to do that, but now there's so much of it that I'm like, no, I just need to drink some tea, lately of the Dragon's Treasure. You
Not
can use
sponsored.
code CREATE or the code BADGER and get 10% off your order there. It's ridiculously good tea. We'll talk about that later. But
Yeah.
I brew up some Dragon's Treasure tea, and I take a look at the Discord and see what's up with the unknowns. But yeah, all of that was threatened. It was
Yeah, it
gone
was.
in an instant. And I know it was difficult for you guys to tell us this is probably hopeless. But that was the reality at that time. So the plan was to make an entirely separate server and just start fresh.
Yeah. I think the thing with the Discord server, because as everything was getting hacked, everybody was freaking out. There was two people in this troop, basically fighting this war. Because as you and Kevin are busy people, there's me and Ben. Ben's at
Yeah.
school, right? So it's me alone in this room, thinking, what is the next step? Like, how can I help? How can I go about this, right? And so I had actually a precursing step to making the new Discord, and that was that I reached out to somebody I know who works for Discord, right? The problem is, right, as you said, not many people know people who work there. Not many people can get support. I had one of the times of my life where I've just like just physically face palmed, right? Because I reached out to the one person I know, and we're generally on good terms. We're generally just doing our own stuff, and I just sent him a message asking maybe if we could get a little bit of help. I don't know if this person was having a great day, but they ended up flipping on me, and I ended up getting
Oh, that's
blocked.
right.
Yeah, it was kind of funky. So I was just sitting there, and that's really where it went into gear where I was just like, I want to help. I want to do something, right? That's like the simplest thing I could have done is I could have reached out to the person I know, automatically get it fixed, hopefully, and then, or even get it like pushed to get help with it. And I ended up getting blocked. So, if there's anything to say, that was just where I felt like maybe we're not going to get any help with this. So I had to roll up my sleeves. I had to look just death in its eyes, otherwise known as, the people who've hacked us, and I had to say, what is the next step at this? And so, talking to Ben and talking to you, I think the best step was going to be to create a new TCU. Obviously, Ben, like I said, was at school doing the stuff that he does, Ben stuff. And I was here and I had just a whole day of nothingness. I was in a snowstorm that was happening outside my house. So I sat here at my computer and I ended up just making a new, basically, create unknown. I actually have it on my Discord still, but I ended up creating it inch by inch. Everything was perfectly cloned. It was perfect. It was the exact same place. But it's bare. It's, you could see the tumbleweeds rolling in. And we were going to nuke this server, everyone, let people run over and then nuke it so we can, obviously stuff the community there. It would be a big loss in a lot of ways. But I ended up taking a couple hours. I ended up basically recreating the Create Unknown. And I was just grinding out as, Ben, like I said, Ben was doing Ben things and you and Kevin were doing, adult things. It was a time to be held, and on that one snowy Thursday morning.
It was the weird storm day. Now I remember that too, because where I am, we get some of the same weather that you do, and we were both inundated with that. But I want to say what you just described from our perspective. So we think there's no hope. Then you tell us, like, actually, I have somebody I can talk to at Discord. And then we're like, okay, maybe there's a chance. And then 20, 30 minutes later, we find out that diplomatic relations with Discord have been severed, and our hearts sink that much further. You started making the new one, and we're like, this is really inconvenient. This sucks pretty bad, but it's not the end of the world. We'll say in episodes that we have a new one. Check out the link. Slowly migrate people over. We can send tweets out and Patreon messages and DMs. It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. But then things started to happen. The baby started to get kicked. I remember Jeff got booted. Baseweight, I think, got booted. And we could rejoin, and then we got rebooted and eventually banned, and slowly we started dropping. And that's when it really got grim, when we thought, okay, we don't have time to migrate at our own pace. We're getting picked off by a sniper here, and we don't even know why this is happening or what they expect, because they weren't talking to us. You'd think that if they put this gun to our head, it'd be like, okay, you can have it back if you do X, Y, or Z straight away. Why would you take many hours to do that? But that wasn't happening. So we were totally in the dark. You'd made the new thing, and then you pulled the ultimate Laterment move and started talking to the hacker. How did that even start?
What ended up happening was, I remember this, I was in the general chat and they ended up appearing, to leave them synonymous, I'll call them beta, right? They were in the server, right? And they were hanging out and they were just starting to talk. They were just, messaging around, seeing what was going on, because everybody in the server was on the fence. They were either feeling a little bit out of sorts, wondering what's going to happen, or they were just trash talking the person, because it's like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why, why the hell would you be doing this while we're just trying to chill and just do what we do, right? And so when they were talking around, I decided to, throw a little bit of a joking punch at them. And I said, I don't know directly what I said, but I ended up saying something along the lines of like, hey, you want to smooch? Just something stupid for no reason. And apparently it caught their attention because they responded to me and they're just like, are you a woman? Right? I sat there, I was blown out the water. I sat there and I was like, okay, yeah, I can be whatever you need me to be. I can do whatever you need me to do. Talk to me. And that was the end. That was the end. I sat there and I was just so dumbfounded. And then I just started just throwing shots here and there. And they ended up they kept responding to me. I don't know if they felt, some sort of inner peace about me. Maybe it was, like you said, the inner comfort. I am the comfort creator. There's something. There's the Laterman aura, right? It's almost like if you look Medusa in the eyes and she turns you into stone. Anybody looks me into the eyes, and they are just going. I have this trance, and they were just talking to me into the chat, and so I was just like, hey, do you want to bring it to DMs? Doing that sly little smug little face I could do. I'm like, you want to bring it to DMs? Yeah, you want to bring it to the messages. And out of nowhere, they actually did. They messaged me. And so I just sat there so dumbfounded. But that was like the moment I was like, wait.
That's step one.
That was step one. That was step one, That was the allure of Laterment. That was the first step in the right direction. As much as we were freaking out, and I didn't expect anything to come from it, that was the first step in the right direction. And it felt terrifying. It was absolutely nuts.
Put down your can of Hyper Hydro Monster and your Crimson Berry White Claw. It's time to rethink the beverages in your life. We drink a tremendous amount of tea, working on videos, recording the podcast, but we don't drink normie NPC tea. We drink cultured and refined anime tea from the Dragon's Treasure. They've got a gunpowder green tea called Space Cowboy. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know why Kevin likes it. And I used to chew gunpowder green tea leaves when I played baseball in the 90s. I love the stuff. Dragonwell Z, Samurai Chai Plu, black teas, herbals. The Dragon's Treasure describes itself as a haven for anime and tea lovers for a reason. They've even got a tea called Uwu. It's got apple bits and cocoa nibs. It's crazy. I bought the 60 tea sampler pack as soon as I could. I wanted to try everything. It's that good. And when you order from the Dragon's Treasure using the code CREATE, you'll get 10% off your order. That's 10% off using the code CREATE at thedragonstreasure.com. The link's in the description. Look, find me another place that sells Russian caravan tea with a name like, "And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked." You can't. Thedragonstreasure.com, 10% off when you enter the code CREATE at checkout. The link's in the description below. Get brewing, Space Cowboys. When you said that you were talking to him, I mean, I didn't think that anything at all useful was happening there. I mean, I thought, okay, well, at least now we're finally going to find out what the extortion fee is on this. But Episode Chat has pointed out two other things that are critical at this point, like as this spot was happening. One of them is we lost Boromir, a staple of the Baby Gang. He was directly hacked. That wasn't a Kick thing. He clicked the same link that Ben did, and his account was taken over as well. And so Boromir shot me a message on Twitter, and it's like, "Hey, I'm completely compromised on the Discord." I'm like, "Yeah, this is bad." And we're wondering, well, how many people did they get? It might have been more than those two. Charles Kahn posts the image of Boromir with the arrows sticking out of him in the Fellowship of the Ring. Oh God, that's what it was too. That's what it was. But that's when we found out that this was about badges. Is that accurate? Because Boromir had some badge from a server or something going back years that people value. I don't know how this works, so I need you to explain that.
Yeah. So basically, you know what an NFT is, right? Are you an NFT pursuer, Tabber? Do you own any of those famous monkey pictures?
I really don't. I think I have some steel engravings of monkeys from the 1850s, but I don't have I don't have any digital NFT monkeys.
Well, I'll tell you, right? Imagine an NFT, but you don't own it, right? So it's an NFT. But imagine you literally don't own anything. Basically, on your Discord account, when either you're a beta tester for the stuff you do, or you're a part of the Discord staff team, or you have Nitro boost the server. You help them find bugs for their team. Anything that you could do on Discord that is in support of Discord, they have little badges that appear on your profile, right? And basically, these things show that you help their company in some sort of way. If you have people in the TCU who have Discord Nitro, they'll have a little nice Discord Nitro badge because that's in support of that. There's a bunch of little badges and a bunch of little things. And what this person was seeking out is they were seeking out these badges. They have no literal value, but it's something more sentimental. It's just like it's something. It's like if somebody were to it's basically like stealing someone's gravestone. It means something to somebody, but it means nothing to you. It's just why would you do that, right? And so
all it is a badge that says you were associated with a community from back in the day.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah. So what they were looking for specifically is they were looking for a badge where somebody was boosting a server. It doesn't even say the server or the community you're supporting. It's just basically if you support a Discord server, what it would do is in your profile on your badge, you'll say that you've been boosting a server since a month and a year, like January 21st, 2017, or however long you've been boosting it, right? Yep. Every month forwards, or every group of months, you can get a new badge for boosting servers and stuff like that. And what they were looking for is somebody who has been boosting Discord servers since pretty much the beginning of Nitro, right? Because then obviously they would have the most the badge. They would have the badge. They would have that thing. And they were looking for little indicators of people who supported Discord like that, right? So the biggest thing was, Ben had one, Boromir had one, and they were trying to get these accounts because it's quote unquote collectible. It's not actually collectible. It means nothing, right? But it means something.
Recognize what it is. That seems to be the extent of its value.
Yeah, it's almost like how there are some people who hack like verified Twitter accounts, right? It doesn't really mean anything. It might have like the value of like, oh, it's verified, maybe people will believe in this, I could change my name to Elon Musk and huffle up a little bit of, NFTs, Bitcoins, Dogecoins, it just, it doesn't do anything.
So all of this is really for nothing. All of this is happening. Our community has been completely upended out of nowhere. so that somebody could have a little thing displayed next to the name they've stolen.
Yep, 100%. It was absolutely nuts.
They had. So does that mean they had no interest in the server, and it's just a total coincidence that Ben happened to be a server owner?
Pretty much. In my conversation with this person, like I said, as I will call them Beta, with our conversation, what ended up happening was like I said, I reached out to them originally in the general chat, and then we moved to DMs, and I just was talking to them saying, what can I do for you? Like, what can I do for you? Like, what can I do? Because like, why would you want this? It doesn't make sense, right? A Discord server with 1,000 members, obviously maybe it's like, oh, I see their YouTube channel and maybe I can have some sort of influencers, people here or this or that. But it's like, at the end of the day, we can just nuke this place, like you don't it doesn't necessarily make sense. But I ended up reaching out to them, right? Because like you said, earlier, the fight for the TCU for me being on this was like years long, right? So internally, there was this thing that I believed in, right? I've always believed in creators and creating the things that you care about and doing these things. So the TCU and the friends I made there and everything that's happened, it's always meant something to me. And it's always been like a part of me for the past couple of years,
Yeah.
And
at the beginning.
Yeah, and like even going back to like when I first met you in the Cult of Extremely Online's that Discord server, where I was just inviting, brand managers and people from ad agencies and people just all around to build a network, which didn't make sense. I was 13 at the time. Why was I doing that? Like, I don't even know why I was doing that.
Why was anybody listening to you? Why did I join that server? Had I known it was being run by a fetus, I would have passed.
No, honestly, but there was just like I had love for the stuff I was doing, and even going back to like the Cult of Extremely Online's like that server and the stuff that I was doing there, and to where I am in the TCU and everything that's happened now. It's because I've always believed in just creation, being able to do the things that you love, being able to do the things you care about. Doesn't matter if it's great, because you can work on those things and do better and do greater. And being able to, come into the TCU and hear people talk about the things that they talk about every week, even like me being here now, it's always been something that I've always cared about. So I wanted to reach out just as I've done to any of those brand managers, as I've done to you, as to anyone, to be there as a person, to be there as a friend, just to care and to get a little bit of insight and maybe give a little bit of insight on my, just the thoughts about that, to see what I can do to help. And that was really just the end goal. I just wanted to help. There wasn't a big end goal, but how can I, see this through?
And I think that's a fair way to push the thing along, especially when you don't really know what's happening. Is like, hey, what can I actually do for you here? And did Beta the hacker, did Beta actually respond with anything? When you said, what can I do? What was the answer?
Their response, I can actually go back to our DMs if I can find them, but I know that their initial response was just like, they did respond. They did respond with pretty much just saying, I wanted these accounts for these badges, and that was pretty much off the bat. They didn't hold back on that. They wanted accounts for badges, and they didn't really have a need for the TCU, but it was just kind of thrown into the storm of things. It was caught in the hurricane. And so, within that, it's just like me reaching out. I was like, if you don't need this, can I just have it? It's like if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. So I just sit there and I'm like, can I have it? And basically, what they wanted is they were just like, can you help me figure out if you can get accounts with badges, to do the money, this, that. And I was like, no. Like I responded and I said,
those accounts back. They wanted to sell those accounts back to to Borderman,
back to the owner, or back to other people online who might want those badges, and it was just nuts. And so like they were trying to like ask me, and they were like, and I was just saying, no, I just want the server. I care about this. This is something I care about. This is something that I love. And it doesn't have a value, right? It's literally priceless, right? It's physically, literally, mentally. You have 1,000 server members in your server. It's worth nothing, a schmeckle. It's not worth anything. But at the end of the story, there was a true worth that we can talk about. But it's
like the boy, I'm trying to think who's going to get this. I bet Charles Conwell, the insane clown posse line that they'd rather have 10 juggalos than 100,000 mainstream fans. it's and I do think about a former guest on this show being made to sing that song on YouTube. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
But that's really the feeling on it. Like, we do not have 1 million people. We don't have 100,000 people. But the community that we do have, despite being small in number, is pretty good, and it's pretty important. And that was a tough spot for us because we really did not want to let this go. We weren't going to be able to pop an extortion fee had they said, throw us some Ethereum and we'll sort. We were going to be able to do that, but at the same time, we didn't want to give up. We didn't know you were actually doing this. It was something like 6 o'clock. I mean, all this started around noon. So about 6 o'clock, we knew that you were talking to Beta, but we didn't know anything about it. And we were pretty fatigued because we had a full-on workday that day on top of the thing. And like, we truly don't know what to do here. We're going to wait this out. We tuned out a little bit at that point because we were clueless and a little bit hopeless, and had no idea what was going on. But meanwhile, you were befriending the hacker and then popped the question.
Yeah. It was a whole nuts debacle because when I look back at it, it was like at noon was when I was talking to Ben, and then a little bit after, it was probably like 30, 45 minutes after, they were in the Discord server and they were talking around. We ended up starting a DM, and then we just ended up talking, and it went from 5 minutes to half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, and it just kept going and going and going. And like I said, I was in the middle of this snowstorm, so it's like it's like Washington crossing the Delaware. It was a fight just going on, and it took hours, and it was just terrible. But I kept fighting and I kept fighting for it, and I just kept talking to this kid, just trying to figure out, what do they want? Like, just understanding where they're coming from, just like being as human as I can be with it. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of sides to a lot of different people. Some people might, flip the gun and be like, hey, dude, you suck. I hate you. Other people are going to be like, hey, dude, they're going to be very technical, and they're going to, try, like really weirdly socially engineering it. And it's just like me, I'm just a dude being a dude, I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I'm a dude being a dude. What do you expect me to do? And I was just talking to them of like, why were they doing what they were doing? And one of the biggest things, even about the Discord account badges, because I learned this that day and I did research into it, but Discord accounts can be worth money with badges.
How much? Because I think anybody hearing this, and somebody like me who is familiar with Discord but doesn't even realize that a badge has monetary value to somebody, how much are we talking here?
In the range of like a basic account, it could be between the $500 and $5,000.
What?
Yeah,
what?
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Into the thousands?
Yeah, it's so weird, right? Because these people, what they're doing is they're hacking into these accounts, getting the login information, or whether it's getting tokens from save files on people's PCs. They get this information, they get these accounts, they change their information, and they're basically selling the accounts off, because it's like having, like I said earlier, I made the joke about NFTs, but it still stands very much the same. It's just like, I own this thing. It's like I have a little tick next to my name, or I have this thing, or I have this next thing. It's like, it doesn't necessarily have to make sense, but it's collectible to some people. Some people want that because they think it's cool. And it means something. Like some of the most expensive quote unquote Discord things could be like, oh, if somebody's on Discord staff, but obviously then they'd probably get their account back just because, or if they have any sort of badge from events or anything else. Older ones, are more rare, they're more wanted.
Okay.
And it's just like, so they have this value. It's almost, it's a black market value, but in reality, it's nothing, it's just an account. It's just a thing. It's this, it's that. But to this kid, Beta from Turkey, it was everything. That was his life. That was his livelihood. And I talked to him actually about that.
Well, so that was that's just what he did, was acquire accounts and then sell accounts and repeat.
Yeah, pretty much. I was talking to him, and in our conversation, I can recall I was talking to him saying, hey, if you need help, because I was just talking to the guy and I was like, because he was telling me how he, acquired these accounts and then he sold them, right? So he could get profit because obviously in Turkey, the economy is kind of just not great. You're getting
Oh,
American
it's not
money for these
bad,
accounts,
though.
It's not
It's not
bad,
bad.
but
I
it's
mean,
like,
so to put this in perspective, like I think the average salary in Turkey is the equivalent of about 20,000 American dollars. That's not
yeah.
terrible at all. It's not 100,000, uh, but it's not 1,200 a year either. I
Oh,
mean,
100%.
Turkey's not a bad place, So uh, that's decent. But if you're able to generate a click that gets you anywhere from 500 to 5,000, that goes a long way toward the average salary.
Oh, 100%. And it was nuts looking at that because he was telling me how normally on like a good week or like a good month, he would make maybe about, you know, 800, 900, maybe $1,000 from these accounts, which obviously, you
Good.
get a couple accounts, you get a couple things, obviously some accounts are going to be, get, reobtained from Discord. There's going to be stuff that happens, right? There's going to be loss to that. But just doing this thing where you're getting these accounts and you're just doing what you're doing, obviously, even if you're finding profit off of it, that's nuts, because it's not a thing, like I said, that has value. So if you're profiting off that, you're doing what you're doing. But it was just a kid who was looking to make money in a sense, right? And so the conversation kept going between me and him. And I was just trying to understand him, a kid from Turkey who didn't have much money, who didn't really have a quote unquote like job or anything. So he was doing this to make money.
Well,
And
I got to
it
stop
just
you here
was
because he
nuts.
clearly has some skills. He has
Yeah.
skills. He has internet access. It is totally possible to make a buck in a useful way and in ways that don't directly
Yeah.
harm people. So I refuse to allow him to say, well, I needed the money. We're not
Yeah.
talking like a starving orphan in like Dickensian London stealing a loaf of bread off a windowsill. Otherwise, they won't eat. I don't think that was the scenario at all. I think it
Yeah.
was more similar to being really easy money and no actual recourse for it, because there's really no way to track any of these people down, is there? And even if you
Not
could, what
really.
could you do about it?
You can't really do anything. And like you were saying about them having skills, I even acknowledged that when I was talking to them. I was talking to this kid and I was like, "Hey, if you want to make money, I can teach you shit." Like, cuz I'm just out here just being, Laterman doing Laterman things. I was like, "Dude, if you want money, I can teach you how to edit videos, Like you
Sure.
can do something with your life and actually have purpose, than not, just sit there and just being a dickweed to, people. It's just like you can do so much more, and it's just you're losing, sight of that, because you're doing these things that you might see as valuable, but in the end of the day, they're not gonna have that value. They're not gonna have those things. You're not
Yeah.
doing really anything. And like I said, that's why I kept talking to them because I was understanding where they were coming from because there was a part of my life where I almost felt like I, had to figure out how to just make money. And it never
Yeah.
was to the extent of that, but it was just like I had that feeling, I was young and I was just wanted to do that. I feel like a lot of people do that and people don't want to go cut lawns. People don't want to do this. It's a modern age, baby. What you want to do is you want to find easy money. So it's like this kid just found that in a sense. And he wanted to do that and he was doing his best to do that. And it was, a good skill in a sense. He was doing that. He was figuring out vulnerabilities. He was doing, you know, his things. But at the end of it, that's kind of where the downfall of it is, right? Right? Because you have
It's going to
what
lead
is your
you
head
to a bad
behind that?
place. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So I don't think a lot of people really have thought this through because they don't sit there and scheme all day. They don't think how like what the end game is on scams. But you
They
can
just rub
watch
their
enough.
hands together. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
they just
It's just greed.
wax
It's
their
just like,
mustache.
you know.
Corn mustache. But you can watch enough Law and Order to figure out what generally happens. Like one of two things happens with any kind of nefarious thing. It either collapses, which is usually the case, or you have to just keep putting tremendous effort in to sustain it because when you stop, it stops. there's no residual income. There's no like 401k with scammery that's going to take care of you when you're older. No, when you're done, the benefits are done. So
There's no
you either-
dental. It's terrible.
No, there's not.
Your teeth are screwed.
That's hard though. It's really tough. You've got this risky / shaky thing, and there's no real recourse. Jeff, who is our resident cybersecurity expert, pointed out the type of malware in the episode chat. I want to scroll up. Trouble Grabber is the name of this malware, and I've seen stuff about it on Twitter with that. Click my game development link. It was going around a while ago. But yeah, you can't just like set that and forget it and cash a check. Like, no, you got to keep running this stuff, and you got to keep extorting people and all that. And I think you made the right move by not just straight up condemning him, just saying you're doing a pretty rotten thing here. This is idiotic. It's harming us, whatever. No, you talked to him, and for better and worse, understood him in a way that allowed you to just have a conversation and eventually drop this question about getting it back. But we do know that you're a Muslim now. How did that happen? We want to help you make something and mean something. And we say that phrase all the time because when you're making something and you know it means something, even if it's just to you, that's when you feel pretty good about what you're creating. The support for the Create Unknown in recent weeks has been incredible. Animators, artists, musicians, YouTubers, aspiring filmmakers, comedians, it is crazy how talented everybody in this community is. Consider joining the Create Unknown Patreon. Every dollar that comes through goes straight into the podcast and its community. That means more highlights videos. It means a big Minecraft project that's on the way. And eventually we'd like to manufacture custom piss bottles so you never have to leave your battle station. And being a patron unlocks participation in all of our live recordings. You've seen the roster of guests we've had. Having access to their minds is a unique opportunity. You can go to patreon.com/thecreateunknown or click the link that's in the description. Every little bit helps, and your support means absolutely everything to us. Patreon.com/thecreateunknown, links in the description. We appreciate you, Space Cowboys.
Oh, no, listen, just going straight into that is such a terrible thing. Okay, I'll tell you, right? So
It's part of the process.
it is a part of the process, 100%. This is the beginning of the Laterman story, in the sense. So it's like, hey, what is my, the day my autobiography is written one day when I'm older, when I'm way older and I'm just, wrinkly and just falling apart, it's just going to say, it was January. What was it? What was the day? The 18th, or it was somewhere in January. Yeah, it was like January 18th. It's like on January 18th, 2022, Laterman converted to Islam. He became a Muslim, right? It's terrible. But no, what ended up happening was after hours and hours and hours of just talking to them, right? There was a point where I kind of just got tired of it. Any normal person would just be tired of it, and they would say, hey, we're going to set down, the marbles, and we're just going to sit here and we're just going to, just do whatever. But like after just talking and talking and talking, there was the point where I did start asking, and I was like, so what would you, what is almost in a sense like the price? Like, what do you want for this? Because I was like, I literally had a heart to heart for a second with, this person, this thing. And it was just like, this is something I really care about. This is something I really love. And honestly, I would give my left foot if I had to for this. Like, what can I do for you? Because we're talking, right? In the beginning, there was no hope, got blocked by my Discord contact. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, now they're actually talking to me. What's the next step? How can I, what can I do? And so like I said, I was offering them like help. And I was like, dude, if you want to learn this, I can help you. Or if you need help with this or this or this, like, dude, I just want to like see the best in you. Like that's pretty much my outlook to a lot of people, right? Life is short. Life is nuts. Like if you want to do something with your life, if you want to have meaning, like the slogan, make something mean something, do something with the stuff you do. If you have the tools and the power and the ability, mean something with it. And so that was my whole
Discord
like
account
thing
is
with
not
that.
meaning something.
No, it's not. Selling Discord accounts is worse than selling crack. It's terrible. I feel like that should be a federal offense. And it was nuts. But no, I was just sitting there and I was just like, hey, I want to help you and just like see the best in you. But like, hey, I need help with this as well, because there's two sides to a sheet of paper. And I was just sitting there and I just kept talking to them. I kept talking to them. And there was this point where I was like, okay, what's the next step? And like I said, he kept bugging me about like, hey, do you want to help me get more accounts or do this or do that? And I just was like, no, because that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I have like care for this. I've been fighting for this for the past 6, 7 hours. There was a point where I could have just given up and I could have said, this is the end of the road. That's all, folks. Like it's Porky the Pig just, popping out and screaming at everyone. But no, I didn't
Early
want
on,
to.
you called that half an hour.
Yeah.
I think half an hour is good. I mean, you'd have a sense after about that long whether it was going to go anywhere, and
Yeah.
you were like 4 hours deep. I mean, you kept going.
I was hours deep. So, like I said, I think the general premise of where I felt like something could happen was pretty much within like 10 minutes. As soon as they messaged me and we were actually having conversation, I was like,
You had a
I
feeling?
want to talk to this person. I want to understand. Even like if nothing happens, I want to just understand what the hell is going on. And so I kept talking and I kept talking and I kept learning about this person. I kept learning these things and everything. And it was so nuts, but it was almost just like a sit down. And for hours and hours and hours, it kept going and we kept talking and it kept going and we kept talking, it kept going, we kept talking. And then there was this point, like I said, where I wanted everything back, or I was asking and talking to them, and they didn't want to trust me. They kept saying that. Kept saying they couldn't trust me, and they wanted, some way to like stay in contact with me,
Okay.
in case anything went awry. And so, we kept just talking, and they were like, "I can't trust you," blah blah blah. And I was just being a person, so I'm like, listen, if they hear this podcast and they listen to this one day and they're working an office job and they're doing great for themselves, I'm happy for them. They have my WhatsApp number. They can message me. They can talk to me. They have a way, they have the connection if they need me. But I was like, dude, I'm just a dude being a dude. Like, talk to me. And at the end of it, I just kind of wanted to give up because it was so long, it was so tedious, and there was so much time. And I was like, maybe if you want to talk about this in the future, dude, talk about it. But I kind of am just like out of things. And then we were talking for a little bit more, like another half hour, and he finally broke. And there was this thing, right? Because he was like, all right, I'm gonna get rid of these Discord accounts or whatever. And he's like, once I do that, you can have the server back, right? And so I was like, wait, what? I was listening to this like very pompous, like almost army sounding song. And I was just jamming out. I was just kind of listening there, and I was almost at the end of my rope. It was like almost waiting for like a bomb to go off. For hours and hours and hours. You're just sitting there, and you feel the ticking, the ticking, the ticking, and then there's like
We're
the
like 8
last
o'clock
five
at this
seconds.
point. We're
Yeah,
really about 8 hours in. The point that you're describing, because now I've got a sense of the timeline on that day with where you were at, which I didn't know at the time, but I know now. This was after a couple hours after the sun went down, and it was definitely like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we'd started this around noon. So you were 8 hours into the fight at this point.
yeah. It was 8 hours into the battle, and they basically opened up, and they were like, "All right." And they were like, "I'll give you the server back." And even then, I didn't expect it. I was just sitting there, and I was like, "No, they're not. No, they're not." And so I was listening to this music, and we were just talking or whatever. And then they popped such an oddball question when they were talking about giving me the server back, and they were like, "Are you a Christian?" And I just sat there, and I was like, why the hell are you asking me this? Like, you are hacking a Discord server. What is this
Why does it
question?
matter?
It's,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, why does it matter? But like, truthfully, I don't know what I am. I'm just a dude being a dude. I said that before, and that's like Ben said, this is the thesis of the episode. I'm a dude being a dude. And I was just like, I don't even know what I am. And they were like, brother, let me convert you to Islam. And basically that was like almost their rule of giving me the server back, of just like, doing that. And so I was so confused, but I was like, okay. And I sat there, and then a few minutes go by, and they messaged me, and they were like, repeat after me. And so they had just a thing of just like Islam quotes from the Quran that they were spitting at me. And I was just so confused, but I was going all in. I put the chips all in. I was going, and yeah, through that, I have apparently been converted to Islam. I'm now a certified Muslim, and we were just talking, and then that was happening, and they're like, "I trust you, finally." And then they're like, "It's done."
Wow.
They were like, 10 minutes. I gotta get these accounts. They did it. Another 10 minutes go by, and then they're like 10 more minutes, and I was like, okay, is this going to actually happen? And then they were like, it's done. And just as soon as that happened, I just sat there and I was like, huh? I look at the TCU, I go to the settings, and I see I can delete the server. I saw the audit log. I own the server now. And just it broke, the clouds opened, the sun was shining, and it was like, holy shit, dude. You're just sitting there and it's like, what is happening? Why is this happening? And pretty much, if I can sum that up, the reason why the TCU is back in business is because Laterment is Muslim now. So that is it's a crazy story. It's very hellish, but I had to play deal with the devil for a little bit, and here I am.
And that's when from that point, there's not a lot left. I mean, you messaged me and said, I have the server back. I got the server back. I'm owner, and restored our roles and all that stuff. And how do you even explain this? I mean, look at how long it took for us to talk about it. You gave me the bumper sticker version, the tweet length version, which made virtually no sense because how could it in a few sentences? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to call Kevin and let him know how this played out. And I did that. I mean, I called him. I'm like, I don't fully know what I'm about to tell you, but I just know that the result is Laterman got the server back and we're okay. And that's what happened. It just was okay. That was the end of it. Other than we did lose some soldiers here. There's some collateral damage on Ben and Boromir accounts, which I do hope that can eventually be resolved. Discord may, there's a process with complaining about that sort of thing and verification. When the verifications fail, they might get access restored at some point. But the overall server side, like, that was it. We had it back, and crisis averted. Well, not averted because we went through it, but crisis resolved.
Yeah, it honestly, like I said, it was hell. It was 8 hours of just sitting there, and it was such like a weird thing to happen because I didn't expect it. I really did not. And even towards the end of it, I had this like gut feeling, almost like, is it going to happen? And as soon as it happened, like as soon as everything happened, I felt this like thing almost like break inside of me. Maybe it was Muhammad enlightening me, but I felt this feeling of
From
just like
to enlightenment.
Yeah, of enlightenment for Laterman. I felt that, and it was such a weird thing because I was just sitting there, and I think I messaged you after like everything was happening during the day towards the like end of it before I was about to go to bed. But I was like, it almost played out like one of those like those sitcom episodes where there's like a terrible thing happening and then it resolves. At the end by the episode it resolves. 8 hours later, negotiations with the devil and everything that was going on. It just like it was so wrenching, and I was on the edge of my seat this whole time. Which actually, fun fact, after all that time of doing everything, I didn't tell you about this, but my office chair actually broke. So. That is the sin that I have paid for the TCU, is a broken office chair.
Wow.
Which it was kind of nuts because I was just like, what? That's kind of like Muhammad breaking the seal. It happened, and so it was such like a crazy thing, and I never expected in a million years for it to happen because, like I said in the beginning of it, I just because I wanted to do something, I wanted to help, and I never expected for that just to be the
awesome.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, we really had just no idea what's happening. So just to have anybody say, I'm going to do what I can, even if they can't do anything, the fact that they in this case, you stepped in and just tried to do something, that was nice. That was a little bit of a weight off us for like, okay, at least we have somebody, more like Ben and Kevin and I have somebody to talk to about this. Isaac as well. Isaac was doing a fair bit in corralling the options and sorting through them and all of that. So we really had about 5 or 6 people. Vedette too, man on the Discord popped in. We had quite a few people involved directly in that sense, and then all the people, especially the people in the baby gang, monitoring things and giving us updates on how it played out. So it was a wild ride that ended in such a lackluster way. I mean, the best possible outcome was the most boring possible outcome, which is we would end the day exactly where we started. which is owning the Discord server that we've owned for 3 years. Like
Yeah, it
we
was
got back to zero.
nuts. Yeah,
We hit zero.
if I can relate to something, I like as soon as you said we ended the day just how we started, the thing that I imagined or I thought about was just Smiling Friends episode 1, like how you had Michael and the psychic back a couple weeks ago. Just episode 1 where it's like the day starts in the office and it ends in the office, but we're all just dead inside. That's how I felt. But it ended perfectly, as the perfect just sort of ending to that. And it was just nuts. And I don't know how to say it any other way. Like it just ended almost in this perfect but nonchalant sort of way. And it was just crazy.
Well, I'm glad that it ended the way it did, and things have been all right. Here's the public service announcement. Don't click a lot of links. Don't click links, even if you know the person.
Don't play video games. Just don't.
Yeah, don't enjoy games. Don't have fun on the internet at all. If people like Ben and Boromir had the good sense not to enjoy things, not to have friends in the first place. If you don't have friends, nobody's sending you anything.
Yeah.
Their whole perspective on life is flawed here, and that's really part of the problem. They need to commit to no fun, no friends, no problems. That's below in the really fine print. Below, make something mean something. That's the other slogan. Yeah. No friends, no problems, etc.
True.
But yeah, that one resolved, and it was awesome. But we do have to transition into what it is you actually do on the internet. What do you do here?
I scam people, pretty much. Actually, I am like the search. I'm a scammer. No, what I do on the internet, I just if I could put it the best way that I've said to you before, and I make this joke all the time, but I'd sort of just do Laterman things. I just do the stuff that I care about.
No one knows what that means.
I'll tell you. Let me tell you what Laterman things are, right? Normal people, they work. They have an office job. They have a family. They have love. I have none of that. I'm depressed. No, but what happens is I just do generally the things that I just care about. And a lot of that for a very long time has been deeply rooted within just being online and just like understanding people, just because I feel like people don't do that in life. A lot of people don't do those things because they are on a day-to-day basis. They're socially awkward. Is the server that you were on before at one point in time, the extremely online, they're extremely online. They don't have just humanity. A lot of people don't.
No, they were, a lot of them were doing their job or trying to find a job to do. And they really had blinders on with both parts of that process.
Yeah. And
that's not socially, that's just probably not going to get you where you want to be. But how do you do all of that stuff? Like, how does Minecraft relate to everything you just said?
Well, when I do stuff like Minecraft, or if I do stuff like Twitch, or even if I'm doing stuff like tweeting on Twitter, right? I feel like a lot of people are almost like trying to be this perfect person, right? Whether it's creators or whether it's random people, or whether it's the homeless guy named Joe who's robbing your local 7-Eleven, people are just trying to put out up front, And for me, I don't really care about that. I just care about doing the things that I want to do, because at the end of the day, I said this earlier, life is short. Things are going to happen that you might expect. Things are going to happen that you don't expect. The thing that happened with the TCU server, that was something we didn't expect. And then even the outcome of it, we didn't expect it, but it ended up happening. The way that Minecraft and even doing the Twitch stuff that I'm doing, or was doing rather, the way that all interlocks with all that I do is because it's stuff that I've always, cared about. And if I'm able to show that I care about something and just have a good time with it, maybe people might, enjoy that. Maybe people can relate to me. Maybe people might want to reach out to me, maybe I'll make friends through that, and maybe that will become my life. And honestly, that is exactly what it became. It just was me putting my love in the stuff. And at the end of the day, not even knowing what I was doing originally, it just ended up becoming more to, the thing I wanted it to be, years in the process, going from when I was 13, like I said, creating the Call of Extremely Onlines and doing that for, whatever reason, to doing what I do now. I remember when I originally did that, we were talking about this earlier. I met this guy, his name was Nathan. He was running social for Seicom, right? And the biggest inspiration for me at the time was a year before that, I had some family stuff going on. And sadly my dad passed away. So I was trying to seek just like stuff that makes me happy.
Sure.
And one of the biggest things was just like going to the internet. I didn't know why, but I just always felt like going online allowed me to, talk to friends or allowed me to do something. And so one of these days, I just met this guy out of nowhere because I seen their account tweeting on Twitter. He just started working for them or whatever. So the account was relatively small. And we just started talking. And through that, we developed a friendship and we just talked and talked and talked. And for a couple years, it kept on going until, I had the mental capacity of saying, hey, I want to do something. And we ended up making this Discord server. And then we ended up getting people in there. And there was, people behind brands. There was influencers.
Yeah,
There was
a
so
lot
many
of people.
people, like almost 1,000 people in there. So that were just from all this stuff. And it was so insane seeing how big that sort of part of the internet could be. But going
The
from
thing,
there and just going from that sort of side of like creation and brand management and all these things into what I do now, that was really a precursor because that was stuff I really just put my time and care into,
Mhm.
being human with people, just connecting with people. And now within Twitch and within, YouTube shortly, that is continuing to be what I want to do. That is going to continue to be, all that.
That's really the theme that's emerging here, and I think it's something that a whole lot of people need to understand. That especially when they start on a project, there's so much planning. It's like, oh, do I want to be on this platform? Do I want to do short things, long things? How to? What do I want to do? They do all planning. I think, if I remember right, you wanted to be a Fall Guys streamer when you started.
Yeah,
That's where your
yeah.
mind. I mean, nothing that you've described really follows any sort of plan, and I think that's really the point. That you've just said, well, I'm going to do stuff, and that stuff is going to be about people, and I'll figure it out along the way. That's a huge component to pretty much sustaining anything. And I don't think people realize that you can have this perfect plan in terms of content or how you're going to do something. And if you aren't connecting with people and you aren't legitimately enjoying the process of talking to them, getting to know them, letting them get to know you, then it's going to be really difficult to keep going, to grow to any reasonable level. That's actually probably a lot more important than the actual nuts and bolts of the content.
100%. I think being able to connect with people is the biggest thing. Whether it's connecting with your friends or whether it's connecting through a video or through a stream or through really anything you do, it's a very important, like you said, it's the nuts and bolts of that. That is in reality the biggest part of that. Because if you don't connect, if you are not able to, share your experiences or share that you're having a good time or share this or share that, people can't latch on to that because of what are you doing? What are you promoting? What are you sharing? Why are you caring about this? Why are you doing this? For the stuff that I do on Twitch, I don't know what I'm doing 99.9% of the time. I'm playing Minecraft and I'm just, like I said earlier, dude being a dude, again, I'll say that. It's just, I'm doing stuff that I care about because there's this game that I care about and I do it because I love it. The people in my community, they come in and they say, hey, we like what you're doing. And I keep doing it because that's a booster to me. And even if there's one person or a million people, I'm going to keep doing that because I just care about that, And at the end of the day, sometimes there are going to be moments where I feel like I don't necessarily even know how to connect. But at the end of that, I'm just me, Laterman is Laterman. Taber's Tabber, Taber's Tabor, I'll say your name wrong again. But it is just, it's one of those things, when you want to make a place for yourself, whether it's on the internet or whether it's in person, you really just have to do what you do. Because if you don't, then either you're going to be a clone of somebody else or you're going to be this gray lump of clay that has no form to it. You're not going to have any consistency. You're not going to have any texture. You're not going to be anything. You're just going to be this just nothingness, And that's really just like the essence of what I want to do is I want to be more than that. I just want to do what I do and I want to care what I care about and I just want to make the most of that because if I'm able to do that, maybe somebody might pick it up and enjoy that. And if I'm able to also just take those things that I already do and build upon that and take ideas and put ideas into that, if I'm able to expand upon that and have, plans for projects, or if I'm able to have plans, for videos or streams, or if I'm able to do this, then not only do they have everything that I currently do and the thing that they enjoy, but they have that 100-fold or even more than that, because now it's something that's fully fleshed out. At the end of the day, the reason I do what I do is because at the end of the day, I'm a person. I can be at the bottom or I can be at the top, but no matter what happens, Laterment's always going to be Laterment. It doesn't matter if it's a great day, or it doesn't matter if it's an okay day or even a bad day. You know me. And I think that's something that people should tend to express and have that vulnerability with. And many people don't. And that's why some people will just get extremely burnt out, because they force themselves into being this character, or they force themselves into being this thing. When in reality, people will like you just for being you, or just like the stuff that you do, because it might be insane. It might be out of this world. It might not be perfect, but you're learning and you're on this sort of process, and you're sort of on this track of just going forwards as a person. And if you don't do that, then you're just kind of forcing yourself into this really awkward bubble, and it sucks.
Yeah, I think what you just said is something that a whole lot of people we've talked to have alluded to, but nobody's really said explicitly. They haven't said things like, it's okay to not only is it okay to be vulnerable, but you actually should do it. You should put yourself out there and then let people really react to that, and be extremely flexible with what you're doing. And just when people say things like be yourself, I think what you're saying is really what they mean. And it's hard to just leave it at be yourself, because that doesn't actually mean anything, does it? So
it means literally nothing.
Just turn a camera on, go on Twitch, go on YouTube, and just do what you enjoy, be yourself. Okay, that's it's one of those things that everybody gets, but at the same time, it means nothing. That's not actionable advice. And I think it is more specific, like what you just said, where it's like, no, you have to open up and be vulnerable, especially with something like streaming, where you're highly exposed, as opposed to something like Kevin on Vsauce 2. Those videos aren't about his personal life. They don't express the mood that he's got that day, if it's a good day or a bad day. Like, no, it's a different sort of content. But for something like Twitch, now you're really putting yourself on display. And if you're going to do that, you've really got to do it. The most successful people that we've talked to in that platform, on the streaming platform, have done that one way or another. But we've talked a bit about Twitch on this, and you had pretty good growth on there. I mean, you've put together something in a pretty short period of time that really matters. You've hit a good spot on there. And then the other day, I see this tweet where you just say you're done. What is that about? Why is Twitch over for you?
So one of the biggest things for me as a creator, as a person, is I want to continue to do the things that I really love, the things that I really care about. And when I say that, that's not me saying that I don't love Twitch. That's not me saying that I don't love, Minecraft or this or that. But for me on Twitch, it feels like a platform that was almost like the foundation, right? If you look at anything in life, if you look at really anything, there's going to be different versions, different varieties of that, right?
Whatever you're going to say right now, I'm looking at my mailbox. You've got to apply it to that.
Mail, you get an email, you get email number 1, email number 2, right? You get all these things. But no, like in reality, like think of like, let's say, look at the spaceships that were launched from NASA, you have the Challenger, and you have Apollo, and you have these things. Each time something happens, there's a new generation of that. There's things that are improved. There's things that are becoming better, some good,
right? And bad in that list. Yeah.
No, 100%, challenge, it's terrible. But no, there's always going to be improvement with things. But with me and Twitch, it's always been a love and a hate relationship. And I can tell you the reason why it's like that is because when I originally started on the platform, it was a challenge to myself to really do the stuff that I care about. It was me saying, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to do what I care about. I had $600 to my name. that I ended up getting on a check that ended up coming in the mail. And I was like, okay, I have a little bit of money. I can get myself a computer. It might not be a great computer, but I can get myself a computer and do something. And so I ended up taking this. I ended up getting this computer, and I ended up just starting applying myself to that. I started streaming on Twitch. Like you said earlier, you said that the thing I wanted to do was become a Fall Guys streamer. Fall Guys is an obscure game that ended up blowing up. August of 2020 ended up coming out and blowing up. Then, it kind of went down. Huh?
Do people still play it?
Oh yeah, people still play it. It's still a game that's updated, and it's still a game that's up. It's just it's more obscure nowadays. It's not really out there. But it's still a good game. It's still, people still play it. But yeah, like that was my thing, is I wanted to do that. And so I started streaming that. And then after a couple months between doing that and doing a few other things, what ended up happening was I hated it. I felt like I couldn't do much with it. Like I said, I've always wanted to be creative. I always wanted to do things I cared about. So I thought to myself, and I was like, what can I do to allow me to just do what I love? And as soon as I thought that thought, I immediately thought of Minecraft. That was the one thing that really ticked me, because that was a game that I grew up with. That's a game that I've loved for years and years and years. And I didn't really play too much before I started streaming. Like for a while, I just didn't touch it or anything. But it was something I knew I loved and I cared about. And obviously there's two routes of this, right? Either Laterman becomes a Minecraft streamer, or at least plays a lot of Minecraft and other things, or Laterman becomes a Tetris streamer. I love Tetris. If we had alternate history hub here a couple weeks ago, we could probably have an alternate history of that, and see where I'd be today. But in the general
you're an agent of the Russians, is that what you're a Soviet sleeper?
1981. Yes. Yeah, no, it was just terrible. But yeah, no, there was like that route I wanted to go down. It was either I'm going to do this or I'm going to do this, because that's going to be my thing, because those are two things I care about. And obviously if I figure out anything else, like I want to do live content, or where it's like me in person or this or that, obviously that will come together when it's time. But in the beginning, I was just saying to myself, I want to do this, right? And so I moved from Fall Guys to streaming Minecraft. And when I did that, I started playing it a lot with my friends, and I made a few servers and I'd play on those. And really, that just brought me together with some other creators. That brought me together with some of my closest friends now. And that really just allowed me to explore who I was in that moment, even when I didn't know who I was. And it was just insane.
Twitch seems to be a great place to do that, because you aren't beholden to one thing, the same way you are to, like with a regular YouTube channel. I mean, people expect certain types of content. I know they do on Twitch as well. Like you'd sub to a Twitch streamer to watch a lot of times Minecraft, say like a specific game. And if you want to watch a different game, you'd watch somebody else doing it. But there is still a lot more flexibility, and you can get into the individual person, and that doesn't matter as specifically what they're playing. So it seems like a great fit. Everything that Twitch has said about themselves and their platform is really similar to all of what you've said for an hour, that this is a place where you can be yourself and do what you do and just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
Why? What drove you to the point where you said, I am officially done with this place that was built to do exactly what I want to do? Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back on that?
The biggest thing, honestly, for me, I said this before I went on my tangent, but I kind of just felt like the place that I was building as a home originally just wasn't really feeling like a home anymore. To a lot of people, it's like imagine moving into an apartment and you love it in the beginning, but then it's just an apartment after some time. It kind of becomes this stagnant thing, right? But for Twitch and for content creation, you're going to want to continue to improve. You're going to want to continue to grow. And with Twitch, there was a lot of little factors that just made it harder to make it a home, whether it is, growing a community and growing to a decent size. You could always do that. And Twitch is a great platform to grow and to do things. But for me personally, there was little things that started just ticking, whether it was notifications not getting sent out to my community, or whether it was missing, payouts, or whether it was, just mishandling different aspects of the community and stuff with that on their part. It's hard to connect with your community. It's hard to build a home if, you can't alert the people you're actually home. It's hard to build a home if you don't have the money to afford to pay the electricity bill. It's hard to build a home
Yeah.
if you can't do these things. And when you want to be creative, you feel like you're being limited now, because if you don't act one way or don't do another thing, then you're out of it. You're basically shot out the ship. You're out the cannon. You're just done. And
Yeah,
so
you build this community, and this is something that various people across the other 130 episodes have expressed frustration with. The ones who have been around on YouTube long enough, since that's quite a bit older than Twitch, but the ones who have been on there have, every single one of them has had a period where you're like, hey, are the people who have gone out of their way to click a button that says, please show me everything this person does, are they actually being shown the things I do? There's a period during which no, not very many of them are, and that has to do with the algorithm. Sometimes it's patterns in your own content, where if you're putting out a bunch of videos and your own community isn't that interested, YouTube doesn't get real excited about serving them to more people. Pulls back. Kevin's talked about this a few times when he's had to reboot some of the ideas for Vsauce 2 content. That's one of those things that's an early red flag, and it's never confirmed. They don't tell you, here's how many notifications were sent out. At least they didn't for many years. It's just tough to know. You kind of have to sense it. But when it really hits, and that was the thing that really jumped out in your tweet stream explaining it. It's like, hey, if you've put together 10, 12,000 people or 100 people, it doesn't matter. That's a big deal to you. And you want those people to know when you're doing something. And if they don't, you've got to explore other options. You gotta look elsewhere. And
100%.
And that seems to be for you, YouTube.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things, to take away from that is just like looking at, my journey across the board with Twitch and everything else I've been doing, because in the beginning it was relatively, a little bit slow, but after a couple months I started picking up steam. And then even after a little bit more time, it just started blowing up and blowing up and blowing up. And then they had a really big, peak almost. And then just out of nowhere, it just stopped. It wasn't like it just gradually fell or, it gradually lost steam, but it immediately stopped. And a few months later, there was things that started just happening, like notifications not getting sent out. And that's something that I've always been able to view on Twitch, right? I'm able to view how many people in my community have my notifications on, and I'm able to see how many are sent out, how many people click through, the click-through rate of that. And the thing is, though, one of the biggest determiners of just how I'm feeling about a lot of these things, right, is because I don't really necessarily mind if I have one viewer in my chat or if I have 100 or 1,000, right? Because like I said before, I'm doing what I do. At the end of the day, it is me doing stuff for content. It is me, building up this community. There is, a business side to it, or there's that, and there's X, Y, Z.
There's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, there has to be. But when it hits you that, this company isn't just, either putting out your stuff or isn't supporting it anymore, not even just putting it out to recommend it or not putting it out to this, but not sharing that with the community and the people that subscribe for that or support that directly, it's so heartbreaking, because I knew when I was sitting there,
it's just crushing. I mean, to do a thing and then have it, if not suppressed. I mean, even if it's just not shipped out, that's a bad feeling.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, like I said, I was just sitting there and I was sitting there and I was sitting there and I was trying to figure out for a boatload of streams, what to do, what's going on. Is there anything I could change to do about this? And I've tried everything while keeping it in, the sort of realm where it's just I'm doing what I was doing. And this is why people are joining, without going to, mukbang, I'm doing what I'm doing, and the same exact thing continued to happen as I kept just not getting my notifications and these things set out. And looking at my community has about 13,000 people right now in it, and 8,000, 9,000 of those people have notifications on my community. When you have 9,000 people who are supposed to get notifications, and Twitch tells you that they have only sent out your notifications to 5 or 10 people, that is nuts. That is maniacal.
Yeah.
That is absolutely villainous and volatile. And it sucks because when I am here doing what I'm doing, right, and I am a creator who has a relatively growing community. It's not the
Yeah,
biggest, but
it's
it
growing
is
greatly.
sizable and it's
Tons.
great.
Yeah,
Um,
no, the trajectory is excellent with your stuff.
yeah, 100%. And when I'm doing the stuff that I care about and doing the stuff that I love, but I only have 10 people in my chat, and then it's just normally the same people that are normally around, not even the people who get notifications. It's like, what the hell is going on, Because normally you see a creator my size, they might have maybe 100 live viewers or maybe 200 live viewers, for the 13,000 or so people. But when you have 20 people, which is actually all right, I'm normally fine with. But if you have like even less than that, normally when I hit like the 10 range or something stupid like that, it's like, okay, what the hell is happening? Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And it's just, you don't feel supported. You don't feel loved anymore. You don't feel at home. And like I said, with problems with, payout and problems with different things, it becomes an everly growing problem for me and for other people and other creators. I've talked to friends about this, and it's just like, a lot of people are kind of feeling this. And for me, that's where I felt that I wanted to make a change. And that's why I felt I wanted to move to YouTube.
Yeah, that makes sense. And different people have said different things. Which platform has the best discoverability and the best notifications and all that? And I think it depends on the genre of content and the actual creator. However, what you just described, that's it's over at that point when you've got thousands who have opted into it, and literally 0.1% are getting a notification. It's probably time to go there. We have to jump into some Minecraft stuff, but first, I want to ask you about the VTuber aspect of things. Is that part of the plan?
For my move to YouTube and the stuff that I do, that probably will stay. Normally, I do like the idea of just doing like in-person content, such as Kevin does, such as other people do. But for me personally, I feel like having the ability to move between VTuber stuff and doing IRL stuff, allows me to have more of a hold to what I want to do, right? Because if there's a day where I'm just feeling like shit and I feel like I just am not looking good or on the par, then I could pop that up, and that's something people
There's
can
a lot of problems.
familiarize with them. It's almost like a
Yeah,
character,
yeah. No,
and
that's
it is cool.
Yeah, it does. That's reality. I mean, most people who listen to podcast have not been in a position where they are live or even filming a thing or recording a thing. It's really pretty tough to go, like to be in the mood to do that, to make sure you have the energy that you need. Thing, if we're 131 episodes now in, you can imagine that some nights we're kind of tired. Some nights, for whatever reason, it's not like we're not into the podcast, but you just have life stuff happening, or you're sick, or something like that. But it's not one of those things where you have to skip altogether. So you're there, but you're not 100%. Well, you still have to do it. That is really tough. And you can see it visually usually, and you can almost always hear it. That's one of those things that comes across in a voice 99% of the time. It is incredibly tough to hide that. So the VTubing strategy here, having this virtual representation of you that the camera is tracking your body movement, so your cartoon you moves. Boy, does that cover up a lot of problems. It seems awesome. Yeah. Why don't more people do it?
I think it's something that's relatively new that a lot of people are just either they feel weirded out by it or they feel not completely into it. Like even for me, when I started doing it, I sort of felt like, why am I doing this? Like why should I do this, right? And one of the biggest things for me was I wanted to have something people can connect to, something that was like feasible, on stream, right? And with having a webcam on all the time, I could be there, but if I feel like I don't look my best, or if I feel like something is going on, or maybe I don't have like the best like setup behind me or the best background or this or that little things, it's just like I can do that all digitally. Have something that's almost like a representation of me or something that's connecting to me, and still share a lot of my in-person IRL stuff, but also have that thing where people just feel connected to it, right? And I think that being able to do VTuber content and stuff like that has opened up a lot of opportunity within just having that sort of representation, having something that I can connect to. And I feel like a lot of people who do it have that same feeling. Is it opens a door for representation, you know? It opens a door for allowing people to express themselves, even if they're not comfortable on the outside or maybe expressing some of their personal life or this or that. It opens a big realm of comfortability. It's the same thing of when you look at other creators, like you look at creators like The Odd Ones Out, or you look at, you know, creators who have, you know, characters for sort of like icons, you know, like you look at a lot of the Minecraft creators who have these characters, these skins, right? A lot of that is just sort of like a way of expressing themselves, a way of comfortability, a way of just representation. And
Yeah.
I think with VTubing and different things like that, it really just opens up a gateway for people to express themselves, for people to just continue to share that what they love, what they want to care about. It opens up that major gateway for that. And for me personally, it just opens that up for, you know, a lot of comfortability. It opens it up for connecting with my community and a bunch of different things like that.
My first foray into it was with Andre APM. And anybody in the Discord knows APM. He's done some excellent art for us. He's a fantastic artist. He was playing around with the VTuber stuff. And I remember him saying that it was a bit of a strain on the hardware side.
So it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to get good tracking, and I don't think the software is really where it needs to be for everybody to use it as a push button thing. I think there are a couple barriers there that are starting to work themselves out. So I think that it's going to be quite a bit more common in the near future, and it's cool that you're getting into it on the earlier side. But we actually got a bunch of questions that rolled in as we talked. Before that, though, we have to talk about a little Minecraft project, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
What is happening there? What is this project?
You're putting this on me, Taber? You think
I'm okay
enough?
I don't know anything about it. All I do is give a thumbs up here and there.
Yeah.
I pay the bill. I give a login. I scan my passport. I just send things and hope that they work out. So I'm putting this on you to debut.
Yeah. So what's happening is there's a silly little Minecraft server that's being worked on. Taber knows about it. I know about it. Minty knows about it. And, you know, it's exclusively being announced here for the first time, pretty much. It's called the Later Network. Woo! It's awesome. It's swag. It's PogChamp, as the kids say. And basically, what is happening, and there's a little bit of a story behind it, right? If anybody was originally part of the Craft Unknown, you know, the Minecraft server that the TCU had, that sort of has gone defunct, right? Right, Taber? What has ever happened with that, really?
There were some competitions people played, but you need more to have the cohesion that sustains a server. And we really were not in a position to put resources into it at that time that allowed for it to just really have everything it needed. Well, guess what? We are now. We simply realized that, hey, we can make this work and have a couple people here who can who have the expertise to do it properly. They have the motivation to do it. Those pieces fell into place in a way, whereas before it was people playing and enjoying it and having fun with each other. There's a little bit more structure to this idea. Yeah. So what stage is the Later Network at?
What it's at right now is currently we've built up, you know, a spawn and everything. We have everything working for mini games. We have everything working for actual games, fleshed out things people can do. If you've ever, you know, if people in the community have heard of servers such as Hypixel, servers as Mineplex or the Hive or anything in the Minecraft community of those sorts of things, what the Later Network offers is basically a variety of games, both casual and competitive. People can come together and they can play. Whether it is PvP or PvE, or whether it is something where you just want to hang out with friends, or whether it is something you want to build or dick around or really do anything, there's going to be a lot of open opportunity for anyone who is not just here in the TCU, but people who are part of my community, people who are part of the YouTube community, the Minecraft community, anyone in the world who is on PC, who has Java Edition, anybody who has Bedrock, mobile, Xbox, PlayStation 4, it's going to be completely cross-play. It's going to be completely accessible to literally everyone for that part. And it's a big, 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 in a sense, project, right? Because there's no servers currently like this that are completely cross-compatible across all sides of it that focus not just on that, but focus on a more social aspect where you can connect with people, right? One of the biggest things for me with this, right, is you look at a lot of Minecraft servers and places in the Minecraft community where people connect. A lot of the places you meet is through, niche things, whether you're part of the PvP community and you go on a server here, or you're a part of, the Let's Play community and you meet on YouTube or this place. The server is an open place and an open ground for people to really just meet doing what people do, And I think it stands on the same aspect of me saying earlier, I'm just a dude being a dude. You're just people being people. And with a digital environment, you're allowed to just do what you want to do and enjoy that. One of the biggest things within that is that there is a lot of aspects where you can just meet people, whether it is just by playing games or whether it is by just chilling out. I am working on tools for people just to be able to talk, for people to be able to conversate, for people to be able to communicate, such as how games have it, World of Warcraft or League of Legends or even VR chat, where you can just meet people and just do stuff and just really have meaning behind that or have some sort of form to it. Whether it is with games or whether it is just exploring or whether it is just by being on this place that people generally enjoy. The same aspect of like going on a Discord server and meeting people there, it's an open place for people to be people. And instead of it just being bound to one platform or one place, it's a place for pretty much anybody. And it's a place that is going to be open all the time, 24/7. Anywhere you are able to, are good to go, really.
And this has been developing pretty nicely over the last month or two. Is it ready for anybody who's listening to this to get involved?
What is currently happening, like I said a little bit ago, is we're currently working on finishing up the first lobby, the first place where people can actually hang out. So what is going to happen is once that is completed, which should be sometime later this week, we actually have a website going up right now. It is currently online, so if people would like to apply to that, they can beta test it, they can alpha test it. I'm planning on sending out invites to anybody who really applies to that. A group of people pretty much through a lottery system, as well as reaching out to friends at the TCU, as well as reaching out to other creator friends to test this, to see what's going on, to really get people involved, to see what people want, to see what people care about, and to continue to build just this server network where people can really do what they care about.
So we can put what you're saying is we can put a link in the description for is it alpha testing or beta testing?
It's alpha testing.
Going on now?
It's
okay,
alpha testing.
What is the difference between alpha testing and beta testing?
So alpha testing is basically preliminary to before launch. So it's the earliest version of what we are doing. This is the earliest version, and then obviously in a couple months' time we can go into a beta before launch where it's like, okay, this is really what we want, and this is the full encapsulated idea. And then we're gonna take this, and even now we have a generally good idea, but then once we have everything put together and we have like 5 general things to do, and we could take those things down a list one by one and have a set time with that, then we could say, okay, we're gonna go into the beta and we're gonna start doing this, and we're gonna start really promoting this and doing promotion across all boards, whether it's on Twitter or Twitch or TikTok or YouTube. We're going to start putting out content about this and really just making this the place that it's supposed to be and really sharing that, because once we're that close, we can have a launch, and then we could obviously prepare that and show anyone who wants to be a part of it what it's really about and really just develop that community for it.
I am just popping the sign up link into the episode chat
for
alpha testing. Yep, it's in there
Let's
now.
Go.
And yeah, there's so many people who have always, since this podcast has existed, been into Minecraft. And you see on Discord, you can see what people are playing. I'm always playing Google Docs. It always shows me as playing the greatest game in the world, which is Google Docs. Some people listen to Spotify. There's a lot of Minecraft activity still going on. And Boromir's in the episode chat. He does need me to point out that, yeah, he was the champ on the tournament that Ben set up. I'd almost forgotten about that. Yeah, no, we had a bunch of people turn out for that, and that was pretty cool. But I have pasted the link to sign up for the alpha testing, which is really just your Discord handle and email, and then
Yeah.
I suppose they'll hear from you. But that'll be in there. We'll put it at the top of the description when this episode is out. So anybody listening, that link will be right there. Check that out on the later.gg site. But it's really exciting to see this happening and happening so quickly. And like I said, we are fully committed to supporting it, and we're excited about really how all of that's going. And so many of the people who are just really important to the community around here are either involved or excited. And that is a pretty good sign to me.
I think
oh yeah, go on.
I was gonna say something. I think between if we can look back at everything that's happened on the podcast so far today, between talking about the Turks to talking about the mining and the crafting, and just about Laterment sort of things, I say that I was saying to a friend earlier, but I was gonna say I think this podcast is a precedent for what the future has to hold. I'm not really sure what is going to happen, but if you are ever looking to look back at history, just know one day when I'm big, rich, and famous, this is the place to be.
Point.
This is the place. This is the reason why you should join the TCU, because not only do they view and support the big creators, but they also have Laterman, little man Laterman, former cat boy, now Muslim. Just it's a great story. It's the triumph. It's the battle.
I neglected to mention the Catboy arc.
Oh yeah,
I forgot about that. But that's part of the Laterman lore as well as the Catboy phase. Boy, you had some awkward tweets during that phase.
I did. I yelled and I yelled. It was terrible.
There were some times where you do that thing where you wake up and you open Discord and you open Twitter and you see what's happened as you slept, which is usually nefarious stuff. And the first thing that pops is the Laterman Catboy tweet. You start to rethink whether you're doing the right thing with your life.
I mean, between you going on Discord for the first thing in the morning and then opening Twitter and seeing a Catboy, I feel like that says something about your life, Tabor, more than it says anything about me or anyone else. I feel like there is a bit of a cycle that's going on, and now having Isaac Catboy Furry on the production team, I feel like that there's a big thing to say about how your life is currently going. Going towards those middle years, I feel like there is a big statement of who you are as a person, and then who you're going to continue to be going forth. It's terrible. It's terrifying. It's frightening.
It definitely spurs some analysis. It's just one of those times where it's good to reevaluate things and think your priorities over one more time. And yeah, that'll do it.
It will.
We're going to jump into questions here because we got a bunch of them.
We got a few to
start with here. Yeah, I actually want to start with base weights because we didn't talk about this and we should have. Base weight asks, what has been your biggest obstacle while growing as a streamer? And the answer to this, I'm going to interject on it. The answer to this can't be the platform itself, because we know the problems with the Twitches and the YouTubes and how sometimes they make it a lot more difficult to grow. So aside from that, what has been the biggest obstacle?
If I can be completely and utterly honest, I think the biggest obstacle for me is more personal than it is public. But I can say that. It's just, I think, growing up in my household to where I got when I started streaming, to even continuing to stream and building a community and just trying to change my life and building a sort of lifestyle, I think one of the biggest obstacles was always finances. I think going up from when I was younger, going through multiple bouts of homelessness and poverty and different things. I think going into streaming different things where I didn't really have a lot of finance to, continue to support my community or do certain things. Or even like I said earlier, when I bought my first computer that I wanted for years and years and years, when I bought that in 2020 and I started streaming a couple weeks later, I think that was really just a ticking point. And obviously, through that, I have been supported through Twitch and through a few different things. I think for a lot of people in content creation, a lot of people have great ideas. A lot of people have terrible ideas. But there's a difference, right? Because if you don't have the tools to really do what you care about, sometimes it's almost impossible. Like even for me nowadays, going into stuff like YouTube and stuff, it's I feel like I'm terrified, because I still don't have a lot of the tools, but I'm gonna push forwards because that's stuff I care about, and I know it's stuff I can do. Sometimes you're just gonna have a little bit of faith in yourself. Sometimes you really just gotta have care for that.
It is easier than it used to be to not have much, to have a very simple phone and put out something that is totally worth seeing. And we've had a bunch of people. I remember Casey and I talked about this, like just do something with whatever. And
Yeah.
that sounds like really flippant advice that doesn't work for very, very many people, but it is true. You just really need to do something rather than get advice about doing something. No. Just do something. And I think back years ago, and I don't know how many years this was. Do you remember that kid who went into the Apple stores and made videos on iMovie using the display models of MacBooks? Do you remember this?
I remember hearing about that. I remember hearing about that a while ago.
I think he just went into different Apple stores and played with the floor models and uploaded pieces and had, I don't know if he had a vlog or what, but he was producing content with the computers that were already, or iPads maybe, out on the floor at the Apple store. Well, hey, that's pretty cool. And that shows that there's a lot of stuff within reach. I mean, I'm not saying everybody should mob the local Apple store and start generating a channel from it, but it does speak to the fact that you can do something despite these challenges, and you certainly have. You have an insane nuclear rig that's powering all your endeavors. No, you've had a pretty mundane setup, and you've done something excellent with it. That is awesome. And so I do think it's a valid answer that it's a hurdle. It's a hurdle to not have that stuff, but there are also ways around it, and it's just good to see a specific example in you of somebody who's done that and how they've done it. This next one is from Google Docs. Do you dream one day being kidnapped by Kevin and
I? By being kidnapped by who?
By Kevin and I.
I feel like the more that I continue to just be involved in the Create Unknown and the things I do, I feel like there's a very big likelihood of it happening. Whether it is,
it's a non-zero chance. I mean, everything's a non-zero chance.
Everything's a non-zero chance, but I feel like, with just the way that I conversate with you and other people, I feel like if it doesn't happen just on a spur of randomness, it's probably going to happen at VidCon. I feel like that's a very big, like we've already talked about going to CC's ever. Like we've already done this thing. And
it's
that
$5 for the buffet. Is CC's still $5 all you can eat?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And we've talked about that, and then the McChicken Endeavor and everything. Like I feel like there is a good chance that this summer I'm abducted, and I'm not against it fully. I'm just kind of chilling
out of state. Like that's one of those things. Oh, Conrad says that CC's is now $5.99, and
that's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, that's too much. I
was looking at $5 like 10 years ago. I was walking by CC's and seeing it.
Yeah.
So to tack 20% on over 10 years, that's actually
not terrible, but it's still bad.
No, but I will say that it's really not an enticing prospect to kidnap out of state. Like the whole across state lines element really adds a layer of complexity, and I think that works in your favor. That
it does.
That we don't, we aren't residents of California, which is where VidCon is. It does lessen the odds that we would commit a crime like that in that state. If they move VidCon to a state that's friendlier to us, then we may.
New Jersey, let's go. It's New Jersey VidCon, it's terrible, but we'll have to accept it, and we will be living our life. South Jersey especially, I think that would be great. Great for the environment and for just everyone that's around there.
Well, we got a couple people in the Discord who would be happy about that. I am going to jump to Dan the Latch's question. He starts off by saying there's an endless supply of terminally online teenagers who think that they themselves are streamers worth watching. I think that's a fair assessment, and I've got a couple thoughts on it after we hear yours. But his question is, can you describe what makes you stand out from the hordes of these terminally online teens, but to do so, you can't hit the brand. You can't use the word Laterment. If you do, then we stop recording, and that's the end.
And then you talk to me, and it's
those are the stakes. We block you, we report you, we end the episode if you use the word Laterment to answer this.
What if I say meant later? Would that make sense? Would that be all right? What if I just say my full first, middle, and last name?
You're going over the terms and conditions to try to find a way around this. No, Dan says no, so
no,
makes the rules. But really, I mean, this is a serious question where you have to have this belief that you're worth watching, regardless if it's music worth listening to. You've got to believe this. You really have to. The truth is that not 100% of people will have content that others are into. How do you deal with that? And how do you get to a point where you believe that you're doing something unique that other people should see?
I think one of the biggest things that I can call it directly, like how you were saying, how some people believe who are, terminally online believe they are the best, or this is the best, or this is the best. It's like looking, it's like going to Cheesecake Factory, seeing their menu of 200 something items and being like, oh, this is great. But in reality, it's just probably an overpriced thing. And it's just another thing, I was thinking about this when I actually went to Cheesecake Factory a couple weeks ago. And this is just a short little thing to allude to that. But they had chicken parmesan there, right? Obviously it's chicken, it's sauce, and it's cheese. They had another one, but it's called chicken pizza. And it's literally a piece of chicken that's beaten down into a sheet with sauce and cheese on it. Now tell me, the one thing that was quote unquote pizza was like $10 more. Why? It just doesn't make sense, It's not greater, it's not anything. It's just different, I would say for, in terms of purpose of just looking at everything that happens online and, with people who want to go into streaming, or people who believe they're the next big thing, or people who believe that they're this or that. Honestly, I even believed at a certain time I was like that. Like I was overly zealous of that. And I had like this sort of ego with that. I feel like a lot of people have that sort of thing. And then there's a point in time where people come to humility, and they come to humbling themselves, right? Mm-hmm. In reality, everyone who's online has ideas. Some of them are great, some of them are terrible. In anything else in life, that's the same sort of story. Some things are great, some things are terrible. And I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people believe when they're going into content, or when they're going into streaming, especially, because a lot of people see streaming as the easy way. They do. Even I seen it like that, which is a big reason of why I want to go into YouTube now, which is why I want to continue to do live streaming, but have a platform I could really work with and really build my community and build upon that. One of the biggest things is people will say, oh, I'm going to be the best just because maybe they spend this much time playing a game. They don't have to be great at the game, but some people will just say, oh, I do this, I do this, I do this. It's like you go to church and you go to confession and you're just like, you're talking to the guy and you're like, so I sinned. Why? Because, I did this. And then it's like, well, what, goes against that, or what have you done good? It's like, it's not about that. You have to have sustenance to that. You have to really provide and prove that you're worthwhile. And I think a lot of creators on Twitch really who want to grow and want to do things, I think one of the hardest things is they can't really provide that, because they go into it thinking they're just going to play a game, but they don't realize that there's a community to take care of if they grow that. They don't realize that there's business behind it. They don't realize that you have to continue to develop and, continue to evolve your relationships. They don't realize that you have to do so much to be a part of it. And a lot of people think they're going to be the next best thing, but in reality, it's either just going to be like a small little hobby to them, which is okay, or it's going to be almost like a phase, And there's generally great people who create online, and who are going to be here for a very, very long time. They're doing incredible. And some of them don't even know it yet. Some of them don't. A lot of the times you have to just find yourself with it. If you go off the bat and just say, this is going to be this, or this is going to be this, or this is going to be this. Yeah, you can say that, but you have to still prove yourself wrong. You still have to prove yourself and prove yourself to other people. And you have to do so much to really get there. And you have to, build your sort of like resume of just existence. You have to do that stuff. And even looking at like things like you message me sometimes, you call me a baby tapper. You call me 12 years old and you call me small and insignificant, and you make fun of me.
I do call you a
When
man.
say
I
it.
call you a
No,
man.
you do. I'm
Is it
6'6",
okay?
Gavin.
I was going to
That's
say,
not
is it okay to
true.
dox your height? That's the
Yeah,
best
no.
part of it, is saying that, because you would tower over me
Oh, I would.
by several feet.
You'd abduct me and I'd still be taller than you.
There's nothing funnier to me, and I don't know why this is the case, but there's nothing funnier than calling somebody who is 6'6", 5'1". It's just
terrible. It ruins my ego. I mean, it humbles me. It humbles me.
it's
I mean,
a
yeah.
17-inch difference. That's
Yeah.
massive, and I can't get over how funny that is. So yes, you're absolutely a manlet.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, like I said, the one thing I was saying is just like some people don't humble themselves, and there's little things like that where it's just like, why are you saying this shit to me? Why are you doing this? You know?
Well,
And it's just
if
like,
you don't do it,
sometimes
if you don't approach it with the humility that you described, and you don't humble yourself, everybody else is going to do it for you. So you might as well
100%.
grab the reins on your own humility, because it's going to be way less painful to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Got a couple to sort through. Oh, this is good. This is good. When all is said and done, and this is a one-line answer, because we need it to be a statement. It's got to be an impactful, succinct statement.
It's gonna be
when
great.
all is said and done, where do you hope to be when you die?
In the ground.
That's it for aspirations. That's all.
That's right. Yeah, no. If that was a one-liner, I would say in the ground. In reality, I just hope to make a difference. In some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just, impacting the people who are in my life, like my friends, I'm doing good on that, If my life isn't long, if I don't live till I'm 70 years old, that's all right, because if I'm just able to make a moment right now, then I'm doing the most important thing I could potentially do. Whether it's making somebody laugh or making somebody smile, or really just giving them a memory or a reason to, just keep doing the shit that they do, then, that's always going to live on. That's always going to be there. And that's, when the end of it comes, then, I did what I needed to do. Same thing is like the stuff I do on Twitch or I'll do on YouTube. It's just, I'm doing what I do.
Make something mean something. Well,
make something mean something.
That's really pretty much the best plan of action for everybody. If you do that, you're going to get to a place that makes you happy at the very least, if not lots and lots of other people. Andy asks, what is the current state of the Create Unknown Discord as of this? We're okay. The triumvirate of Laterment, Ben, and Isaac have really sorted things out and made it quite smooth, and everything is secure. We learned a couple lessons.
You can say that, Emmer. You can definitely say that. But what I will say is I still do own the server, and at any moment it can be deleted, so don't mess with me, or it will be gone. It's 100% going to go.
We've been threatened again.
Yes.
We go a few weeks of relative safety, and then we deal with threats. German has a related question. I have an answer for this. In the end, who do we blame?
We blame the Turks. That's what we do. We blame the Armenians. We blame everyone. We blame all of ourselves. We each have to take a bite of the apple and just point the finger at ourselves. Really.
Yeah, I will say that ultimately it's the fault of a scammer on this kind of thing. But we could have taken steps so that it never even would have been an issue, and that was an oversight on my part to not set things up in a secure way, because weird things do happen with accounts. Even if you have two-factor authentication on, things can get wonky. But there are some ways around that so that it has another layer of protection, having an account that it just exists for its really to hold that information. We could have done that, and we just didn't get around to it, I guess. And we rolled the dice and ended up losing. So really the blame is on the scammer. Nobody should be scammed, but we could have protected the server and learned a few lessons so it won't happen again. Conrad asks, well, this is tough at the end, but he asks, will this be the worst episode ever? I think so, and I think that this is really a challenge. No, don't take it personally, because I think our goal every week is to make an episode that's worse than the one before.
Understandable.
That's the bar we set. That's the challenge we set. We started with a great one with Destin, episode 1, and we thought, how can we very gradually go downhill over another 130 episodes over a period of years So it's like a limit in calculus where you're getting as close to zero, but not quite there. And I'm excited to see how low we can go by episode 250, 300, 500.
You know, I will say is, you said each week we're trying to get a little bit worse. Now, what needs to happen is the people need to decide whether last week's episode, you know, with Tabor, right? I'll say it correctly, right? Tabor, right? And Kevin, right? Was that worse than this week where there's Laterman, where he's just doing his Laterman thing? You know, probably, you know. Every time I say Laterman, they're just taking a shot. Jesus.
They're taking shots.
That's, you know,
when
it's
you hear a little
self-imposed.
ping, a little pop and a ping in the distance, that is one more liver exploding.
Yeah, they are just chugging Baileys because it has a nice cream to it, you know, the nice milk. Big, strong people. Calcium. It's tasty.
Well, we got a couple more, and then we are out. W Quiz, who is a trophy peddler, which will make sense in a bit, asks if you're going to wear wigs and whether you'll record yourself drinking milk out of your trophy. Can you tell everybody what your trophy is?
I showed it at the beginning of the podcast when my camera was on.
Live have seen it.
Yeah, people who are watching live have seen it. But what ended up happening is after the whole debacle of the TCU Discord, after that all happened, I ended up getting a trophy sent in the mail from W Quiz. And the trophy is the Laterment Award, right? What is the Laterment Award, you might ask? The Laterment Award for Outstanding Laterment, right? I am the best Laterment there can ever be. You know, if I have a son and their name is Laterment Jr., maybe they might be a little bit better, but maybe, just maybe, they might go missing. Anyways, what I'm saying,
you got to protect the brand. You have to protect the brand.
Protect the brand. I have to. Yeah, 100%. You know, they are an asset. I can get rid of that if I need to. But yeah, no, I have this award. It's called the Laterment Award for Outstanding Laterment. And there's actually a little bit of a story behind this. And like I said, it was originally obtained from, you know, the stuff that happened on the Discord. Quiz wanted to show their gratitude by giving me this beautiful, outstanding award that I can now put on a resume as my first award ever. It's great. It's awesome. I'm happy. And what originally happened was they were supposed to send this out. They ended up getting it off of, you know, some trophy maker sort of thing. And what ended up happening was they ended up accidentally sending it to their house. Now, I don't know what their story is that they ended up saying to me. But basically, they forgot to send it out, or they sent it to their house. But they were going to send it out in the post, but they were just like, nah. So now there's actually two of these trophies in the world. Quiz owns one. They have the Laterment Award for Outstanding Laterment, which scares me. And there is mine, which is 2 of 2. You know, obviously people can make dupes, people can make copies, but this is the second official Laterment Award, not the first. And I think it's pretty cool.
That sucks when you aren't even the first one to win your own award, but
to say that too, yes, I will be drinking milk out of it. I will make a video of that after the podcast when that goes live. I will do that. You know, maybe we can make it a short or something on the TCU channel, but it will happen for you. I got you, Quiz.
Well, Monsieur Chinchilla needs to know, when is the next revolution happen? And I think that question can go in a lot of different directions. So I'm going to let you decide which revolution Chinchilla is asking about.
I think the next revolution of the TCU server is going to happen once I move to YouTube, right? I'll say this. I move to YouTube, right? And what happens is it does extremely well. Yeah.
April, like what's the deadline on that plan?
I'm taking March to upload some videos there, to upload shorts, to really start promoting that, put some stuff out on TikTok and really start creating content for that. And then the move to live streaming on YouTube is beginning April 1st. So for the rest of March, I will be streaming on Twitch pretty much every day, just creating content, creating things there, and streaming, and really just like almost having sort of like a countdown, you know, to the final day, you know, and just do what I love. You know, I'm going to keep doing that for the rest of March. You know, doing a bit of like a donathon, raising money to support what I do and just kind of chill with it. And then move to YouTube and just make a bang with it, make a bang from day one. But that's going to be happening April 1st, the full official move for that.
I think it's a good plan. And I also think it's going to work. I mean, nothing can be guaranteed on this stuff, but I think you're in a good position. You know what you're doing. Yeah. You got a good community of people who want to see your stuff. When you played around on YouTube a while back, the results were epic. They were extremely
They were epic.
No, it was shocking. It was absolutely shocking what was happening from the beginning. So having seen that little experiment go, I think you're in a really good position. Well, the last question, second to last question rather, comes from an imposter in the server. The display name here, it appears to be Laterment. And the question is, do you like Among Us?
Sus? Among Us sus? Sus Among Us? Among Us sus? Among Us? Among Us? Tabber, I have a question for you too.
I'm not a gamer, so I'm going to leave.
No, I know you're not a gamer, but you are a tabber, community, community person, Google Docs enjoyer. You're a docker. You're a docker, yeah. If you were an Among Us character, Tabber, what one would you be? Right? There's an option. You could be red, you could be dark green, you could be like lime, you could be blue, pink, purple, white, black. What Among Us character would you be, Tabber?
Is there any difference? Is it just the color, or is there any substantial difference?
Pretty much it's just the color. The color, honestly. I would say you'd go orange.
I'd go orange. My second choice would probably be yellow.
Yeah, I think yellow's a good choice.
What are your color preferences on the Among Us?
On the Among Us, I would say personally, I'd probably say purple. That's just on brand. I like purple.
It looks
it's a good color. It's a good color. It looks good on me,
Yeah.
I would say purple. I do like red. I used to be very big on red. That was my original branding when I was, Laterman the Catboy. And red is definitely a good look. If not red, if not purple, though, I definitely am a big enjoyer of pink. Actually, I think pink's nice.
That's a good.
It sort of stays in that spectrum.
It pops. It
pops
does nicely on the screen. And as I'm looking at this, the three that I would rank at the bottom are dark green, black, and white. Baseweight says that every time he joins, black is already chosen by the time he gets in.
Black is the one that everyone is like they get because they get to be spooky with it. It's almost like the devil character for people.
Okay,
black and red are like the worst.
Yeah, but I like the colors. Green is really ranks 9th. Green is 9.
Green is 9. Yeah, I would say that's fair.
Now we do have something of a tradition on this podcast.
Oh no!
Do you know what's coming?
I can take a big guess. I can take a big guess. But I would rather you like pull off the Band-Aid and just tell me rather than me even take a guess, because then obviously it's this could be like my John Lennon moment. My heart is just beating and then it's just done. Just pull off that Band-Aid and I'll be all right.
Well,
I like Monohymn's thing right there, by the way. Do a creative ad read. I like that.
I was thinking it would be fairly easy to take this question and morph it into something about the uwu tea at the Dragon's Treasure.
All right.
I wish I could remember all the ingredients in uwu.
I can look it up. Wait.
Yeah, do that.
Uwu tea.
Creamy vanilla nutty taste. Sid Polk says uwu is good. I saw that he bought that and it arrived the other day. It truly is a really good tea, and it was the first one out of the Dragon's
Treasure. Iced tea, right? Is that what it is?
I think
I clicked on the thing. I just got a 404. Wait, no, I need the link.
Butterbeer, Jack's Honesty, Spirit Bomb. Those are all pretty.
Ooh, I got it. I found it. All right. Yes, I have it.
So what are the ingredients on this one?
The ingredients on uwu tea, there's green apple or green tea, apple pieces, cacao nibs, orange, raspberry leaves, cranberries, safflower, quote unquote natural cranberry flavor, pecan flavor, and natural vanilla flavor.
Yeah, it's really neat the way that, because you'd think that's too much. You'd think that you can't have creamy vanilla, you can't have apple fruity stuff, the cocoa nibs or cacao nibs rather. You think they wouldn't be able to put all of that together and get a good result. It absolutely works, and I don't know how it works, but it's really good. And it being based on the green tea, that's so light compared to something like black tea that it's just smooth. It's smooth and easy. So I was just kind of being a goofball by like, I'll try uwu first because that's funny.
Are you an uwu person, Tabber? An uwu or an owo?
An uwu, when I think of uwu and owu, I think of Quackity. Years ago, dude, like Discord servers asking people if they want to owo.
Oh no! Oh no! That is not good. That is not great.
This was like 2016, and it was.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Well, it's time to bring the hammer down. Laterman, what is your Fursona?
I actually have an answer for this, Tabber. Tabor. Why am I always say your name wrong? I just always say Tabor Tabor. It doesn't make sense. I will stick to tradition though, Fem. It'll be all right. So
Jay Schlatt really, really forged that tradition.
yeah.
So
yeah. So what we have for a Fursona, right? Which actually, going back to the original Laterman roots of being extremely online with that server, when I was around 13 or 14, I really kind of got into furry stuff. I thought furries were cool. I was a furry enjoyer, enthusiast. I thought they were cool. They have big costumes. They're fluffy. You could be a dog, a cat, whatever the hell you want to be, And so I actually have a Fursona. I'm not an active furry. But I have one, right?
You developed this actual Fursona. Is that what you
said? Yeah. So I'm trying to find it.
We've had I mean, your movie Sucks had an extremely clear, well-developed Fursona. We've had a few real answers to this.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this in one of my messages.
What animal?
It was a dog. It was like a mint green in brown, like almost like chocolate chip mint ice cream dog. And it was just really cool. It was based off of like a black lab or like a brown lab rather. And they were really cool because it was just like, yo, I am just a wolf or a dog. I'm just doing my thing, and I thought it was so cool. And the original concept of it actually came from, it wasn't from me creating it, but when I was looking at all this furry stuff, somebody had adoptables online. Basically, you can pay to own these like characters that they already made, and they just adopt different variations of them out. And I thought this was so cool. And so I got that from them, and that's like been my mainstay sort of thing. That's always been my mainstay sort of thing. I just thought it was so cool. I thought it was so awesome. And just being able to be that sort of that mint chocolate chip sort of dog. I don't know. I fell in love with it, and I thought that it was like super intriguing. And it just, I don't know, it just meant a lot to me.
Was there a specific name for that Fursona?
I don't really think so. I would like to get one. Maybe that could be like a community poll thing, or maybe like a vote. But there never really was. It was just sort of like, I am a dog. Yeah, it never was Laterment this, Laterment that. Oh, I found the image of it. I'm gonna put this in the chat. It's such a stupid thing if it saves. Let me just do this on my desktop. There we go. Let me just save that. There we go. And yeah, no, I have a picture of it. It's so stupid. There's never been like a reference sheet, or there used to be a reference sheet. I lost it. That's lost media.
Oh no.
But yeah, no, I was this silly funny dog, and yeah, it's been kind of crazy. And I just that is now in the episode chat. Look at that. It's so awesome.
It's mostly a chocolate brown with mint green highlights. I was expecting.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that is just like a piece of the art that I still just have somewhere in the lore category. But yeah, it's there, and it scares me. It's haunting. Yeah.
Well, this has truly been a treat. I was serious when I said that Kevin and I think it's amazing to see people start something. Since we've started the podcast, it's been long enough now that we've seen projects begin and grow. And being able to track along with those as people have the ups and downs, and they move platforms, and they grow an audience, and they deal with challenges like no notifications, and they swap their content styles. We've finally been doing the podcast long enough to go through a few eras with a bunch of different people, and we are really, really happy that you joined up a long time ago, and we got to see all of that. We express, and when I say we, I mean everybody, Baby Gang, the Discord people, the Tots, Ben, Isaac, all of us, Kevin and I, absolutely us, appreciate you wrestling back the Discord server from the Ottoman hacker.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny?
Crusade of sorts.
Yeah. I had a thought this morning. I was thinking to myself about the situation that happened to the Discord. And I was thinking, if I did not fight the Turks on that valiant day, what if that's actually what happened with the Ukraine and Russian, fights that are going on right now? What if this was a piece of history that made this happen? What if?
So you think you caused it?
Yeah. Like what, he goes from hacking the Discord server into hacking Vlad's, Steam account, stealing his game, stealing his CS:GO skins. And it's terrible. This is actually the bad ending. We thought it was great, but he moved on to his next victim. And that was just the end of it.
We can flip this and just say, maybe we could end this in 5 minutes if we just get Vladimir Putin to just click a link about his friend's game development.
His friend's nuke development, that'd be great. Can you set my nuke? Sure. Press his link. Russia is completely shut down. It's over. It would be great.
We have access to everything. We would own really the country, not just the server, but the entire country. And then we would just hand it off to the right people, and the problem would be solved. Everybody would go back to normal. We would be at zero.
Russia would be the new Turkey. I think it would be great. I think it would be grand. Great. It would just be like the new revolution for the ages.
Well, that's the answer to Chinchilla's question. Then that is the revolution that's next.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Turkish-Russian revolution.
We've got a very clear, detailed Fursona answer, and that primes us for James Rolfe next week. Next Tuesday, and the actual specific time, I don't know if we've scheduled it. I just know it won't be 6 p.m. We've got to go a little bit earlier. I think it'll be something like 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern time. We've been trying to get James Rolfe, angry video game nerd / Cinemassacre. Everybody who's been on YouTube knows James Rolfe. He is truly one of the originals, and might have even been. He was definitely in like the first 3 channels that I ever subscribed. I've been watching him forever. We've been trying to get him on the podcast for years. The schedules hadn't worked out. He is one of the busiest guys on YouTube. But yeah, we wanted to rotate him into season 1, first 10 episodes. We couldn't make it work. Well, guess what? Episode 132, it's finally happening. Check the announcements on Twitter, YouTube, all the social stuff. If you're a patron, you'll get an email about that when we release this episode. We'll give you the time. Join the Discord too. You can tell from listening to this for a couple hours how much fun it is, and there are a lot of good people just doing all sorts of different things. Get in there. It's an awesome place to meet people and talk about whatever projects you're into, the hobbies. It's fun. There's a reason why I get up and check it each day. Even if I just lurk and I don't let people know that I'm looking at it, I'm still reading it. So I'm always watching. But no, it's a lot of fun with people who I really can't imagine not having met. So it's truly a thrill. But we'll pop that in, link to the Discord if you're not into the description. We'll also put the alpha testing, alpha/beta, for the Later network, later.gg, which is supported by the Create Unknown and Unknown. So listen up as we keep going along for updates on that, because Laterment is working hard. And
it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, well, I'm here for it, and I'm here to support it and lurk on that too. I like to see these things built out of bricks. But that is the end for us tonight. We should get a recording of Kevin doing the Space Cowboy bit, because I just feel like I can't do it quite the way he does it. But I'm going to try. So for now,
you can do it together if you want.
You want to do it together?
I can do it as an honorary savior of whatever the hell this is.
I like that. You take us out of the episode. Give it a go.
All right. This is how it happens, right? Right? This is the best way to do it. All right. Everyone be quiet. Don't talk in the chat. I will find you if you do. And with that being said, we'll see you next Tuesday. Space.
Oh, Cowboy. God, that's not right.
And we'll see you next Tuesday, people. Gamers. Gaming.
And with that, we will see you, Space Cowboy. Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We make this show with the support of our patrons. 100% goes directly to keeping episodes going every week, and we've been shocked by all the new support this year. The world's ending and I'm late for work. Gib Tom, Sid Poke, Demetrius, Atrocious Guff. You guys really do make this show happen. Thank you to the Tots and Dumpster crew, old and new, who save tiny little lives every month. And thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry. Jen Mefasanti, Kevin Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, Triple Question Mark, Ryan, Kamikaze, Maria, Marco Sheep, Tom Videogre, Jeltsies, and Dan the Latch. And a tremendous shout out to our elite Baby Gang commanders, Linus and Trevstead, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Isaac, Conrad, James, Andrew, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, Monahim, Dojangles, and Zero. You really are the elite. Thank you as well to our indentured servants, producer-editor Ben Webster, Discord savior Laterment, and producer emeritus Dan Yoshua. And thanks to Baseweight for the use of Created in the Unknown for the opening theme, and to Electro Voice for giving us mics to sound good on top of it. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production in partnership with Studio 71.